San Marcos tiene la fama de sus mujeres bonitas. San Marcos tiene la fama de sus mujeres bonitas. También Acapulco tiene de diferentes caritas. Sanmarqueña de mi vida, ándale, ándale, ándale.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 110 of Floating Through Film. This week we are continuing our series on Luis Buñuel with two classics from his Mexican period, Mexican Bus Ride, or also known as Ascent to Heaven, and Illusion Travels by Streetcar. But let me introduce our co-hosts here, Blake.
What's up?
And Luke.
Hello.
Okay, so before we get into this, what are you guys' thoughts on these two movies? Is there...
Oh, like
to
overall?
me, like, yeah, because these are like...
They're very similar.
Okay, they're very similar.
Like, structurally.
Maybe
a little
but I feel
different of, like, their approaches to everything, I feel like, maybe.
Okay.
Like, Mexican Bus Ride feels more like a studio comedy, but of course it's not like... It's still in a Buñuel respect. It's, like, relative to Buñuel's filmography. But it's still, like, but we'll get into it. But it's still very, like...
Is there anything?
Yeah.
Is there anything specific about these two that you notice that are different than like maybe any conceptions you had of Buñuel before this? Because like, I don't know. Does that question make sense?
Well, I guess.
Because if you think of his later movies, which I think you guys have seen some for sure,
yeah,
and then you guys have seen the early one already, earlier two already. These feel a lot different to me. If you had just watched, if these were the first Buñuel you watched,
they
and
feel,
then you would watch the other ones, you'd be like, "This is a lot."
Well, I think it's a lot more like community focused. I feel like a lot of other characters, which I mean, they have a lot of characters, but a lot of times they're like, especially his French films, are more like centered on the protagonist. I feel like, or at least more focused on them. I mean, Fan of Liberty, it's, like, different, but, like, think of, like, That Obscure Object Desire or Discreet Charm.
Yes.
Where Discreet Charm, it's, like, really mainly only focusing on the bourgeois, like, kind of characters.
But it's still a group protagonist, right? But,
it's, like, group, but this one's, like, sparse-spanning, like, it's, like, Mexico City, basically.
No, yes,
literally,
exactly,
like, all walks of life, in a way.
Yes. No, exactly. I think that's what he's trying to go for, especially with Mexican Bus Ride.
Yes.
But even Illusion Travels by Streetcar.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. How about you, Blake? Is there anything that comes to mind?
No, I like it because I watched Illusion Travels by Streetcar on YouTube. Well, I watched both these on YouTube, but I watched Illusion Travels by Streetcar.
Well, it's good to let people know they're both there. Even though they're terrible
free.
Quality, but they're free to watch.
He ignored your download.
No, I downloaded it, but I didn't feel like plugging my computer in because since it was on
Exactly.
YouTube, I
mean,
don't
it
really
makes
care.
sense.
No, but they translated the title instead of Illusion, it was Dreams Travel by Streetcar, which is also really cool, really interesting because both these movies are really about dreams traveling on a car of some kind. Like it's really interesting in that way, and I don't know. It's Ascent to Heaven's also a great title. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know that was another title for it.
I think it's because like they say that mountain.
Yeah, the mountain.
Pass,
it's called Ascent to Heaven or whatever.
Something like that.
And I also kind of read the illusion as like being like the film camera in general. Like the film camera kind of like is traveling on the streetcar, like.
And it's creating the illusion of all this.
In a way, like, yes, and, like, just kind of, like, filming, like, Mexico City. Like,
because
I feel that's another interpretation.
I was going to save this for the movie because there's a specific scene that really reminds me of this. But, like, you saying that, both movies in some ways have, like, Fellini aspects to them.
I guess, honestly.
Especially when Inter Vista has that moment. Like, you know how they're all traveling through the bus for a while. And, like, looking out and, like...
Yes.
There's certain Fellini moments like that, but like you saying that, kind of like that's like Fellini's whole thing in a way.
Oh,
you know? Like the illusion of the camera.
Exactly.
But the reason I was kind of saying that, I was like, I thought you guys would mention it, but I don't think you guys did. Is to me these are his most like also realistic movies. I think that's what.
I guess yeah.
Like that's what splits apart. I think this middle period a lot in ways, like his Mexican period.
They're realistic, but at the end of the day, they also kind of aren't. Especially Travels by Streetcar.
It depends on what you mean by realistic, because that's what's going to be my topic this week. Is I mentioned it last week, but my topic this week is it's going to be Buñuel neorealism, and like how he viewed neorealism, because that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Is like these feel like you can tell neorealism has happened as a movement since I think I mentioned this last week with Los Alvardados. But even compared to those, like Los Alvardados still feels more neorealist in the melodramatic sense that we talked about last week. You know, like it still has the kind of like deep emotions of like children in poverty kind of thing. Yeah. But these two, this is where it's like he's trying to push like to his idea of what neorealism actually is. You know, it's like he's like taking the idea of neorealism as like saying this is actually what I think neorealism should be. So Blake, because you mentioned something I'm basically gonna talk about. But what did you mean by saying there's actually it's more than real or something like?
Well, I mean, it is more than real, I guess, but it's also like just not real how they go steal a streetcar and just like take her like literally just take all these people along on rides.
The way the situations come about is like very like in a way kind of surrealist.
Like, yes, exactly. That's what both these movies to me feel like comedies and more than neorealism you don't think of as comedy, obviously.
No, exactly.
But this one's showing a lot in a Psy-like way. Just the comedy of life and how it treats people. So
also the negatives too, which is a side thing as well.
Yeah. That's what also makes it kind of comedic though at the end of the day too, because you can tell stuff like this has happened before and stuff like this is going to happen again at the end of the day. So
damn. So I'm going to mention. I wanted to say a couple points first, just about like his kind of background with neorealism, before I actually get to the main thing, but. So first I want to mention, apparently Buñuel was actually a huge fan of Bazin, which I kind of love.
Okay.
Interesting. And like the guy that wrote the Bazin like translated the book, his name is Dudley Andrew. He even said that like he basically said that Bazin had a direct influence on Buñuel's 50 style. Like basically Buñuel was reading Bazin and stuff. And like he even mentions at one point that Buñuel would talk to Bazin about some of his scripts, like as he was writing and stuff. So he really respected Bazin, which is kind of the main point. And so, like, I just want to point out that he was very involved in, like, kind of thinking about what neorealism it means. Because, like, I know you know some about it, but even the people in the filmmaking movement disagree about what it was. You know, like, no one agrees, like, this is what neorealism is. Like, no director wants to be put in a box like that, honestly. But I wanted to mention a quick story. Like, okay, so this is after De Sica. He saw Viridiana. It's so funny. So, because it kind of gets to the point of like why Buñuel is not neorealistic. Because it says, I've said it and I've shown it many times. Anyway, he was stunned and he asked me, "But Buñuel, what has society done to you? Has it treated you so badly? Have you suffered so much? It's awful." Of course, I told him, "No, I hadn't suffered personally. That was just the way I saw the film. That's what it was for." He hung back with Jeanne, his wife, and asked her in a low voice, "Does your husband beat you?"
Oh my god!
But it's like, basically this is how Buñuel sees reality. Yeah. You know? Like he sees the kind of like unreality of reality.
Yes.
In a way. And his like, so he gave this speech in like, I think it was in the 60s and like at the University of Mexico, and he called it Poetry and Cinema. And a lot of it, the speech is about him kind of saying why he doesn't like neorealism. And so his main point is like, basically, he says neorealism, I don't know if you would agree with this or not, he says it doesn't, for him, doesn't properly spark with cinematic, which is the mysterious and the fantastic. Those are his kind of criteria of like what cinema should do. So like, you can see why Fellini like with someone who would love something like that, right? Yeah. But I don't know if like that. You can see that's why like neorealism. Let me read this quote and then I'll go back to it because neorealism likes to present. It says it's presenting reality as it is in a way, you know. But Buñuel like he only sees that as a starting point in a certain way, like to start from the object. But let me read this whole quote because it is kind of long, but I think it's kind of great, honestly. Because subquote. Neorealism has introduced a few elements to enrich the language of cinematic expression, but nothing more. Neorealistic reality is incomplete, conventional, and above all, rational. The poetry, the mystery, all that completes and enlarges tangible reality is utterly lacking. Neorealism confuses ironic fantasy with the fantastic and the grotesque. And then he goes on and he quotes André Breton, who's known as one of the founders of surrealism. And he goes and says, Breton says, quote, "The most admirable thing about the fantastic is that the fantastic does not exist. Everything is real." And then he goes on, and then he says he was talking to, do you know who Zavattini is?
I think I've heard of him.
Screenwriter who wrote Umberto D. and...
I think I heard of him.
Bicycle Thieves.
Okay.
He's like the famous screenwriter in Italian. So he's like, I was talking to him some months ago, And I said to him that I was not in sympathy with neorealism. Since we were lunching together, the first illustration that came to my mind was a glass of wine. For a neorealist, I said, a glass and nothing more. We see it being taken from the sideboard, being filled with wine, carried presently to the kitchen, where the maid will wash it, or maybe she'll break it, which will result in her being fired or in her not being fired, and so on. But the same glass, seen by different human beings, can be 1,000 different things, because each person pours a certain dose of subjective feeling into what he's looking at, because no one sees things as they are, but as he desires, and his state of mind make him see them. I am fighting for the kind of film that will make me see this kind of glass, for it's the kind of cinema that will give me a total vision of reality, enlarge my knowledge of things and of people, and open to me the marvelous world of the unknown, of everything that I do not find in any newspaper or any street. And like, so what do you get out of that?
Okay, well the first thing is like, okay, it's very similar to the example Monty Call gave of presentation versus representation, the glass of water.
Yeah, it's like starting from the glass, right?
Yeah.
But a neorealist would maybe agree with that.
Yeah.
So what do you think the difference is then?
Between like...
Why he disagrees then, if they're both starting from the glass. His whole idea is like, a neorealist maybe says they're trying to get to the truth by only showing the glass, right? Because the truth is the glass. But he's saying like, yes, that's true to a certain degree, but he really wants to show that the fact that every person that looks at that glass sees something different.
Interesting.
Almost like how, and you'll see in his films, starting with these two, but definitely in the ones we're going to get later, like with the last couple weeks, is like, the idea of seeing a person on screen is one thing, you know, and we're introduced as, oh, this is the wife of someone and the husband. But then as we actually learn what their dreams are, their desires, you know, we see like every person is seeing something different about what they see about different people and stuff, you know. Because I really like that idea. Because I think I even mentioned a little bit about Bresson, like that was his whole idea too, is like to show a mystery or like basically show what's mysterious in life, you know, not what's certain in a way.
Well, it's kind of how movies started also. Isn't it like a classic Méliès versus Lumière brothers type of thing? Like Méliès was always the more magical.
Yes.
He showed the fantastical elements that cinema could bring. And the Lumière brothers were more documentary based.
But that, I feel like, honestly, it's really good, like, anytime you're talking about cinema, just to, like, think of them, too, in a way, because I just like that dichotomy, but what I like about Buñuel, and what I'm kind of saying is, like, he seems like he's trying to use the Lumiere's approach stylistically, you know, like, filming real objects, like, not a lot of cinematic tricks, but he wants to, like, have that, he wants you to have that experience almost of a Méliès, you know, especially more about the unconscious, like, what are people's thoughts, and I wanted to, because I don't know if you, I was just like going through my Vertov. It was almost kind of random. I was just thinking about him today, so I was going through my notes. But he has a very similar quote to like something Buñuel will agree with. So I was going to read this. So, quote, "As a matter of fact, everything I've done in the cinema was connected, directly or indirectly, with my persistent effort to reveal the thinking of the living person. Sometimes that person was the film's author-director, not shown on the screen. Sometimes this image of the living person included traits not of a single concrete person, but of several, and even many people had been chosen accordingly." And that last verse, like, literally what we were saying about this, especially Mexican Bus Ride, is like, the living person of the film is, like you said, Mexico City, or
it's the bus.
Or the bus. Streetcar, the people on a bus, you know? And it's like this very similar way to how we talked about Vertov, you know, where he's like, the person he's filming, like, literally that quote is the city, or the process of production or something, you know? But... like Buñuel, like you could say Buñuel's process is like how the unconscious works, you know, or how like desires work in certain situations and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of like my main point is like I think it's interesting. Buñuel's one aspect of this, but I think a lot of cinema even there is like to a certain degree a before and after neorealism, you know, because there is like every filmmaker wants to be real to some degree, you know, they're always fighting that like. How do I make a movie feel real?
Exactly, yeah.
And, like, there's, like, some directors, like, okay, that means I have to make it as real as possible. But there's some directors, like, do the exact opposite. You know, it's like, to go real, I have to do as fake as possible. Mm-hmm. And it's, like, kind of like an interesting dichotomy. It's like, how do you reach this idea of real? Like, and for Buñuel, the real is the mysterious and fantastic. You know, it's not, in a way, what's real, like, how you would normally think of material. Real. Yeah, or real, or, like, material or something. Materiality. But it's also why he's one of my favorite directors, you know, because it's like, you always feel this ambiguity in his movies. Like, even how these movies end, like, they feel like they're made as studio comedies in Mexico, like, for public audiences, but, like, especially Mexican Bus Ride is, like, an insane ending, as we go through it. But even both these movies, like... But yeah, is there any thoughts on that before?
It's interesting. I need to think about it more. But.
Yeah. Especially with Fellini, I feel like I thought you would appreciate that because like I could because I remember I even mentioned on the Fellini episode, he said like Buñuel was like one of his biggest influences and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was going back to this now. I'm definitely seeing why. You know,
definitely.
Especially on like how they approach like the unconscious and
yes.
the mysterious, I guess you could say. But before I get into like kind of the backstory on Buñuel in Mexico in general, I wanted to read one last quote that Buñuel said in this Poetry and Cinema speech he gave. And he quotes this a few times throughout his life. It's from Frederick Engels, like one of the founders of, or one of the writers of the Communist Manifesto and everything. Which, I mean, you guys have heard the name at least, Engels, right?
Wait.
Frederick Engels, he's like a...
Well, I know the Communist Manifesto.
Yeah, he was the co-writer with Marx and stuff. So he's a big communist, basically.
Okay.
But he wrote... let me just read the quote. So, quote, I will let Engels speak for me. He defines the function of the novelist, and for Buñuel's case, the filmmaker, as thus. The novelist will have acquitted himself honorably of his task when, by means of an accurate portrait of authentic social relations, he will have destroyed the conventional view of the nature of those relations, shattered the optimism of the bourgeois world, and forced the reader to question the permanency of the prevailing order. And even if this author does not offer us any solutions, even if he does not clearly take any sides. It's like, basically that destruction of the optimism of the bourgeois world, not taking sides, like... It's just like it's a perfect Buñuel. Like you can tell, like he has this quote in his head when he's making all his films. Yeah. But yeah, we'll go on then to. I kind of just wanted to give some backstory on like how Buñuel arrived to these movies because I said I was going to do it last. I did a little bit last week, but I wanted to save it for this week really because even more than Los Olvidados, I think you could say in some ways these are his most Mexican, in heavy quotations, Mexican movies because like. I'm hesitant to say like there's pure Mexican movies because he is a Spanish director at the end of the day, you know, and like he even saw himself as that as like kind of an outsider still making films, kind of about Mexico. Like, I guess you kind of you mentioned Psy earlier, but you kind of say Psy is like that too. He even always saw himself, even when he's considered a Taiwanese director, he always saw himself as like a little bit of an outsider, even in that, you know, because he's a transplant, and he's always making films in different countries, like honestly, like Buñuel, ending their careers in France too.
Sure. We'll start a dialogue.
No. But so I wanted to mention some things he did in between the periods of he made a surrealist film. So what he did before he got to Mexico. So one thing he did was this was in the early 1930s. I forgot why. Like it was like some studio director or some studio was like kind of like wanting to recruit him after they saw his like early surrealist films. For like they did this a lot. Where like potential talent, they would rob all the European greats, and make him make boring Hollywood movies. I'm kidding. But it's so funny because I guess he tells the story in My Last Sigh. But he was there he was like so excited to go see Greta Garbo and to act, and so he's there. Like he said, he was in the very back watching. But apparently she like stopped the production and she said she wanted to get that loiter and she was talking about Buñuel. And he's like, ever since then I didn't like Hollywood or something like that. But the main thing is he says what he really didn't like about Hollywood was kind of like the systemization of it. You know, the basically the studio system. I mean, because I wanted to read. I guess there's dispute on whether he's talking about Sternberg or not, but. I'll read the quote. So, quote, what was more upsetting was to see Sternberg's set designer positioning the cameras, while he seemed content to shout action. In fact, most of the directors I watched seemed little more than lackeys who did the bidding of the studios that had hired them. They had no say in how the film was to be made, or even how it was to be edited. And so a lot of people think he's talking about Sternberg, I guess, there. But there's been some debate there about whether he is.
I've seen one Sternberg, so I can't really talk.
I can't either, but... I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say anything. But you've seen how I feel.
People love Sternberg.
I know, that's why it was kind of fun. But I could also, he didn't like Abel Gance. Like, he didn't like a lot of things.
Damn, that's crazy.
But that was like a young Buñuel, I don't know.
Okay.
But this is another interesting thing. So he did that he was kind of in Hollywood for a little bit, but then he moved around. He in 1935 in Spain, this is where I think I told you guys this, like, not on the podcast, but he was a producer of musical comedies in Spain for a few years. And, like, all the or one of the directors swears that Buñuel was basically the director of all these movies, where like he was the one like just basically making the movies, these musical comedies. But Buñuel never took any credit. Like he's never on any credit list or anything. So like they don't know like how much he actually played a role. Yeah. But I should mention the book I'm getting this from. It's called Buñuel in Mexico. I'll find the author at the end, but that's where I'm getting a lot of this info. So basically, he says like the important part of this part of his career is how Buñuel actually learned to like kind of make films in a studio system during this era, because like you can tell like from those 30 like at least from the one we watched, June Chen Down Below, but if you've seen the other two, you can tell those are made more kind of like experimentally, a little more like freely, obviously, honestly a little more messier, but like you get to these ones now, you can tell like these are made by kind of a craftsman at least. Like you can tell he has control. He's an extremely efficient director. He was like basically you could tell he's learned under these like you could tell he's watching at least like there was efficiency to the studio system as well. You know, where like you're still shooting only what you need.
A lot more structure.
Yes, that structure aspect of it. Yes, you know, like he has a quote. I don't have the exact one with me, but he has something where it's like, if I had planned 250 shots for a film, I'm only shooting 250. You know, like I'm not shooting anything else. That's all I'm shooting. You know, stuff like that.
Makes sense.
But to keep going, then finally, those are the two main things I wanted to point out before he kind of got to Mexico. But I love because I think I mentioned last week, and I'll mention throughout these weeks, is like one of Buñuel's main themes is kind of mystery and chance of life, really, to kind of just learn to accept these things. So it's kind of funny how he actually ended up in Mexico making films. He was in the United States, and then someone had hired him in Paris to film a play by Lorca, who's like a Spanish poet that he was friends with. So on the way to Paris, they stopped in Mexico City for a little bit. But then as he was in Mexico City, the project got canceled in Paris. And so he decided just to stay in Mexico. And that's when he started to make films there. He knew some people. So basically by chance, literally, he made literally over half his movies in Mexico. Because that's actually another crazy stat. He made 35 films and 17 of them, or 32 and 17 are in Mexico.
Damn.
So the fact that that's the period that gets ignored is also crazy. But and we're only doing 3 of them. So. But we had to make some cuts.
3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 is pretty good.
But they are worth watching, though. A lot of them are, especially if you like. Some of the later ones, they do require they require a lot of your attention to really be engaged. Where some of the studio ones you can kind of enjoy. Maybe without kind of the experimentalism of the later ones. Yeah. But. Yeah, that's basically how I wanted to... Oh, yeah, let me read this quote about how he saw himself, why he ended up in Mexico. So, quote, "I thought about making my kind of film, but I didn't have a clear idea. I've never thought about anything like, I have a passionate desire to make my kind of film. No, it was a confused feeling, a vague notion. I knew, but in a confused, almost distant way, I could do something in film, but I didn't know how or when. I kept working in film out of inertia. What would you do? I couldn't say. Oh, someone would ask me, what work do you do? I couldn't say. I'm a shoemaker or a musician, so I would say, I'm a filmmaker. Oh, that's great. Basically, that's why he said he decided to keep making me a filmmaker. No other answer. Okay. It's damn, one of the greatest filmmakers ever. Yeah, that's what I do.
It's a job.
But see, that's how John Ford saw it. I know I've seen some film, especially from this old era. It's I'm just a craftsman,
Or not even just that, it just pays the bills.
It pays the bills, but it's are you watching your movies?
Bro.
I would be surprised if John Ford didn't even watch the movies. He's I'm going to film the next one.
Damn.
Especially in his prime, he was filming so much.
Yeah, he probably didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Although maybe he definitely has, what's interesting about the studio system, and maybe this ties into what you said about Sternberg, is that wouldn't still make sense, because there's still, if you look at a Hollywood director, there's still, despite it being a studio system, there's obviously ones where they care more about it. It's it's still kind of a one for me, one for them system, although it's a bit harder to tell. But say John Ford has these movies that seem very personal to him, but then to do those he had to do some generic western, and you can tell which ones.
Okay. Do you know if he ever talked about that specifically like that?
I'm not sure. I just heard other.
Because that's how Buñuel definitely in his autobiography he doesn't even he barely mentions the Mexican period. Damn. So it's weird because it's he made over half his movies here.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how he saw these in a way.
Okay.
But like he does have like certain quotes where he's like even in like the worst like studio film like Grand Casino and stuff, he says like, I never lost my personal morality. Like for him that was like his main thing, which is like for him his personal morality is that ambiguity, that mystery I've kind of been talking about. Like not make so like even if it's like a normal studio genre film will make it very clear at the end. Yeah. Like we'll talk about Mexican Bus Rides ending obviously a little bit, but like that ending is like. It's supposed to make you feel weird. It's like, is that really the ending? Like, it's supposed to make you feel like that, and especially when the music rises and everything. It's like it's almost supposed to confuse you, but like, so it's kind of interesting where that's why I kind of like watching these movies because it's like him having those tensions of the studio system versus like him trying to keep his own personal morality versus like all the latest movies where he was given way more freedom just to do whatever you want. By that time, especially in France. Yeah. That's kind of why I wanted to do like. That's why I love these movies. It's like, to me, they're just as much as Buñuel movies now that I've seen them. Like, I've seen Illusion Travels by Streetcar like 4 times now, and Mexican Bus Ride 3, or maybe, something like that. So, but yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. Is there anything else? Is there anything that comes to mind as I said that? Like, is there any other, maybe one question I have for you guys. Is there any other director you would say is like a studio director that you still love?
Oh, well, yeah.
Like
I mean, like John Ford.
Okay.
Vincent Minnelli. Like,
no.
A lot of
but is it all older? Is it all older? Is there anyone newer? Or is it now just like people get more freedom now? So like,
they're much more
because
it's much more freelance nowadays. I feel like.
I don't watch new movies.
Yeah, you do. Like Johnny To. He's actually in this Buñuel very mold of his like making very creative movies within like a studio system. But also because you're making them very cheap and creatively, you can be creative. Like because you're making them cheap, you can be creative, and vice versa.
Yeah,
although it's definitely more.
It's different though because in Hong Kong they do give their directors more control to begin with. So
yes, they do. But they're still like you still have to work in these genres.
No, yes.
Which is not negative. I'm just saying it's just like versus being like you can do whatever.
It's just like nowadays it's like directors are more like freelancers. I feel like at least it feels that way.
I mean, you like Altman also. That's a studio.
Yeah, Altman. Even though Altman was like. In a way, he's kind of anti-studio. He
is, yeah.
In a way, he was like.
I mean, Lubitsch, but that's also another oldie.
I mean, like, Altman was kind of hopping from like studio to studio in a way, like.
Turner.
But I guess it's Turner. I mean, yeah, he's also old Hollywood kind of mold. I was saying. That were just.
But see, he's also someone that reminds me kind of Buñuel because he never lets go of his like. What was the thing that you said? His dignity or whatever.
Personal morality.
His personal morality, like because that's another thing Turner that I've been noticing a lot watching him is he has his own personal morality.
That ambiguity is like honestly something similar.
Howard Hawks, of course, but like there's a lot.
Yes.
But they're all mostly old. I don't watch very many new directors out. I guess.
But is that because we hear they don't have that kind of like, especially in the studio system?
I'm sure if I looked at Letterboxd, I'd find some directors, but I wouldn't consider them like. Great directors. I just consider them just a guy, like Adam. Wait, no. Who's the guy that did Godzilla?
Adam Wingard.
Wingard.
Yeah, I think
like so. Wingard's the classic studio director now.
Yes,
like someone like that. I don't know.
But no one sees him as like an auteur, like you would see like John Ford or something.
No, he makes fine movies.
But okay, no one's a good example of this.
No. Like
he's not a studio guy though. You think?
What do you mean he's not a studio?
He has full control.
But he does have full control. Yes. But he is working in the studio system and studio genres too. At least that's how he's trying to sell it. Like this is a sci-fi or.
It just depends on how you like define
drama.
Studio director.
And this is where it's a very blurry line on like are you using a? To me, it's almost like are you using a genre or is the genre using you in a way? Like does that make sense though? Like.
I think
it does because there are a lot of directors that are pigeonholed.
Yeah, like there's almost like two. Every time a film is made, there's almost like two films. There's like the film that you're actually watching, right? But especially for studios, there's the film that they're trying to sell you to get you to watch it. Especially for someone that's like
you're
not
talking
already
about
going to watch
Blumhouse movies or A24.
Honestly, any movie like the movie they're trying to sell to get you in. So like for back in the day, it was westerns, right? That was the huge genre. Like even that could just a western alone could get a lot of people to go watch it. It didn't even have to be John Ford, right? So like John Ford could use that as an advantage to him to be like,
oh, you know what?
If people are already going to watch a Western, I can do more creative things with it.
You remind me of the director nowadays that's most like Buñuel, the Russo brothers, studio directors, like...
I was not expecting you to say that. I'm clipping that. I thought we were starting the episode.
in a way, like the Marvel like system is kind of like, or just like the franchise.
No,
it's like the most like studioized.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, like that's maybe he would say like when he came to Hollywood, he saw that kind of system. Maybe something like that.
But see, John Favreau lost his morality.
Actually, like James Gunn's like the new Buñuel if you think about it, like the surrealism. I'm gonna stop.
Damn,
you're on one today.
Yeah,
I got too far.
Keep going.
I got too far.
What other Marvel directors do you know by name?
Is
Ryan Coogler?
Okay, I mean, people actually like him though. From what I've heard. I haven't seen his movies.
Fruitvale Station's good.
I like Creed.
I haven't seen Creed.
It looks like Fruitvale Station looks like the classic, like it's trying to make you cry movie, like an Oscar baiting movie.
See that?
I don't know, it could be good. Very off topic. Let's go back to okay. Let me go back now. We can honestly move on to why I picked these two movies specifically. And I said kind of maybe like these are his most Mexican movies, but really like maybe to go a little bit deeper in like what that actually means. I don't know. Is there anything that comes to your mind, like when I say this, or maybe why I would say these are his most Mexican movies?
Well, I mean, like Illusion Travel by Streetcar is really like a portrait of Mexico City. That's kind of how I see it, like a love letter in a way.
Yes.
Like it's just like taking all these like different walks of life and kind of like.
And Mexican Bus Ride is basically the same thing, except for the
that's what I was gonna say. Almost
like
you could say the same thing. I don't know which movie you're describing first because you could say kind of both.
I guess
one's
like
countryside.
Illusion Travel is more the city. It's more the city.
Okay, yes,
that's what I was kind of getting at. But yeah, you're right too.
But because in the book I've kind of been mentioning here, he gives 3 main points about what or 2 main points basically, but these 2 films specifically, kind of how they're about Mexico. And he says first, developmentalism and modernization, which is you can kind of see, and then also their effects on the lives of the working class. So kind of those 2 aspects, modernization and the effects on the working class, he kind of says like, and you can kind of see like, he even mentions how in Mexican Bus Ride, like the bus specifically is almost like a metaphor for that, like how it keeps breaking down. It's like, it's almost like a metaphor for the social institutions itself of how it keeps failing the people, but that's actually another point I think that's like specific about these 2 movies that we're probably not going to, you won't see them as much in the later ones. This kind of outright, it's literally about modernization, literally. Like you see the city, you see the bus breaking down, you see the streetcars, like you see the way people talk about the public transportation directly and stuff. So it almost, like it just in that way alone feels like very Mexican, in terms of it's trying to be specific in that way. So, and then another point he mentions, and this is one of the reasons I also love about these movies is, there's actually a long history in cinema about this, but the kind of the road movie. Both of them are road movies, and he says because of that, like, quote, the 2 movies resort to the loose structure of a voyage, which allows for acute yet unassuming commentary without the restraining demands of a logically interconnected narrative. So basically because of this road structure, he can basically just go to any place and like in the city in Illusion Travels or in like the country or basically anywhere in Mexico. You don't know where they're going to stop in Mexican Bus Ride. It's kind of so random. Like even the bus drivers, like it's like one of my.
Let's go here.
Yeah, I know exactly. That's what I'm saying. But see, even that is like he's kind of making a point about like the old versus the new in a way that we'll kind of get into. But this idea of like, because I mentioned last week with Buñuel about like how he saw his movies as like a series of gags, but like. The road movie is like a classic way to just kind of do that, because it's like, we're going back on the road. Like,
all you've been talking about, you could use the same word to describe Tati. It's like kind of like traffic in a way, or like playtime literally. Like.
Yes. No, I'm going to mention Tati later in Mexican Bus Ride. I don't know if you remember what scene I'm going to talk about.
You'll have to.
I'll mention it later. But no, honestly, damn. Yeah. There's some Tati aspects to.
Especially like in both movies, how they're kind of like bringing together all different like walks of life.
Yes.
I mean, like Illusion Travel, like in a way, like Illusion Travel is like the playtime part of it, and then like Mexican Bus Ride, you could say is like the traffic in a way.
Okay.
But yeah.
No. Especially their kind of observational mood towards like they're very non-judgmental.
I've heard a lot of people compare the 2.
Okay. No, I've actually. like, I don't know if it's just like I love talk to you because I'm like every director we've done now we're like, do we talk?
No,
about
it's my job to mention it.
Or that's just our podcast. We're like, oh, Psy's like every director. Or,
Well, I mean, Psy, well, definitely.
Every episode, they like Brisson.
But to mention a couple more things, and this is also, you could say this is especially with the American comedies, like a Chaplin and stuff. Both these movies are like comedies that are kind of, he says, are defenders of the poor or the weak, you know. And that's kind of he actually makes this point, which is I think it's also, you could say this is true about comedies nowadays too, is like the difference between a Buñuel comedy and like he says between most classic comedies in Mexico, but you could also say this, what I'm saying is, you could say this with a lot of comedies today, is like in a classic comedy in Mexico, he says, usually a lot of the jokes come from, even though it would kind of fake about being about the poor, a lot of the jokes would come from at their expense. Yes. You know, like they mess up something, or, you know, at their expense, basically.
Yeah, they don't know something.
Yeah, they don't know something. Yeah. But Buñuel, it's never like that. Yes. You know, it's always some systematic problem, or like, even though he's not saying the characters are perfect, like, he's almost trying to just basically like they're in a system that's kind of fucked them to begin with, you know, and that's where a lot of the comedy comes from. And I was thinking about that with Chaplin, because Chaplin kind of has both. Yeah. Like Chaplin also has like a lot of dumb stuff he does, but it's he's always showing the system is like way worse, you know, like it's kind of you know, making him like the system has caused the tramp in the first place in a way.
Yes.
And you can definitely see that with these two movies, that kind of spirit, you know, like especially with the Streetcar, like the idea of just like taking a streetcar out for one last ride, like it's just so great. But yeah, that's kind of what he mentions. Those are or I guess this is a kind of a shoot off of that, but he mentions how both these movies have communal protagonists. I think he mentioned that at the beginning, something like that. Where he said most traditional comedies at the time were based on a single comic star, or like a dual comic stars, where this is like there's no central characters, you know. Even in Illusion Travels, like they are main characters, but yeah, there's like three main characters, but like I said, like it is like Tati, like that's another way like Tati, like they're literally just leading you to the main characters.
Literally driving it to you.
Yeah, and Tati's like walking, you know, like they're just like driving. But yeah. Maybe that's not why I was thinking of Tati in my head, because like
definitely.
That idea of like a communal protagonist, like that's literally what Playtime's about. In a way. It's like just, can you make a film just only of communal like like a whole film of just communal protagonists, like not even give it maybe tease it a little bit with them, but kind of tease the romance, but that's a, you know.
Yes.
Actually, he does that in Illusion Travels too. Like he kind of teases the romance. With, but that's a. But yeah, that's kind of all I had to say. Yeah, I think we can get started into Mexican Bus Ride. Is there? I know you guys have already talked about it. Is there anything specific you guys wanted to say, like as we get into this one? What did you guys think about it specifically?
I guess it just feels like it like, to me it felt like more like a regular comedy, like in relative to Buñuel. Like this felt like his most straightforward comedy in a way. But it's still really good. That's
like when you say straightforward, what do you mean by that?
Like the humor was was more on the nose, I feel like, than like his usual like comedy, which is like, you know, like in later films it's more like, in a way it's like I guess it's not as like satirical in a way. It doesn't feel that way to me. Okay. It just feels way more on the surface, which is not bad by any means. Like no, that's like it does it really well.
That's kind of what I was trying to say about the whole. It has the most realistic aspects to it.
Yeah, honestly, that's
at least on the surface, like you're saying. But no,
but it's really good. It's really good.
What about you, Blake? Is there anything?
No, I loved what you said about the progress of society, and like especially the machines that cause that progress. Because whenever you said that, obviously made me think about Psy. But whenever I was watching, I was thinking about it anyway. And the perfect scene that reminds me of what you were saying is whenever the bus breaks down, obviously, and they start bringing the ox out, and they're like, "Oh, we don't need the ox, we have this tractor." And then it's like they bring the tractor, and the tractor gets fucking broken down too. But that's what you're talking about. It's like the government like regulated like what they gave these farmers to help them out of these situations is what breaks down. And if they didn't have what they've had for all this time,
we're gonna get more into that scene. But the politician is the funniest part of that scene too.
No, but I just love it because it's hilarious. Like, and I do love like the underlying theme of like what this modernization is doing to the young too. because the old bus driver and the young man who is also a bus driver. I don't know what he is, I guess, but he drives the bus too. The one that we follow, basically. But like,
well, he only drives the bus because the other guy gets tired.
Exactly. Well, exactly. But like that's part of it. It's like progress for the young is like they're always trying to move fast. And this old guy is not from this generation. So
that driver is no.
But I do love that this whole movie is basically about this one man's dream to like he's driving this bus to like get to his dream, and we're meeting all these other peoples with kind of like dreams of their own.
Yeah, they say everyone has their own goal or dream.
But then the goal at the end of the day is just like, why do we even watch this movie almost?
Yeah, it does feel, it has that ending in a weird way.
I love it.
But, because, you mentioned, of course I have to mention Sly one more time, because I feel like, so the book I've been mentioning a few times, he mentions, especially with Mexican Bus Ride, like one of the features of the movie is, because of that kind of road structure it has, it can give precedence to social commentary over narrative logic, really. And the kind of the narrative is just an excuse to kind of comment on these different aspects of society, which is a very side thing, you know? It's like, he just basically gives up narrative logic at all. He's just like, this is a social comment on this thing, and then this is a social comment thing. It's like, there's no...
Just a bunch of moments of social commentary.
Yeah, basically, but at least, like, the road kind of gives an excuse of a narrative in some sense. But he goes on to say, like, the social commentary is, if you pay attention, it's based around... the film is organized around popular rituals, ceremonies, and rites of passage. Yeah. And so it's kind of interesting, like, because they go to a wedding. The whole thrust of the movie is about trying to get a will legalized. They see a funeral at the end. They go to a celebration for a mom's birthday. Like, there's like all these different like kind of celebrations they're going to, and like it's just a way to kind of show maybe just everyday life. Like excitement in everyday life, almost in a way, you know.
Well, it's really fun because there's a specific scene in the movie where it's like he's commenting on like the viewers, like us almost, because like I think it's at the moms thing whenever they're all dancing, like the tourists come in, they're like.
That's where I was gonna mention Tati actually.
Okay, yeah.
Because that feels like a very Tati moment where the tourists come in and like they're expecting, they're like expecting a certain thing, like this is the real Mexico or whatever. Because there's even one moment where one of the lady goes, "Oh, wonderful!" Like it sounds exactly like a Tati. Like I honestly thought it was Tati. Like
the moment in Playtime when the girl's like, "Oh, come here! They even have American stuff." In
yeah,
here.
yeah. So there's always like they're like, "Oh yeah," like the way they're always like that.
Yeah, so that was like very idealist. Like
I might have to go back and clip that because there's literally I even have my notes where there's one point where like one of the ladies goes, "Oh, wonderful!" One is like they're dancing. So no. But maybe the last thing because like there's not as much kind of like dream unconscious in this one except for except for what
the scent.
What is the scent of evidence? Because you might miss it, but and we'll kind of just jump into the movie as I talk about this, but so the guy mentions how the main theme of this movie is how society and morality interferes with a person's individual desires. So you can see this whole movie is like because like if you think about how this movie starts, it starts with they get married, but there's no church in the town, so they they have to go like to an island to consummate their marriage or something like that. Yeah. But as they're going to the island, they get stopped by society, you know, and he has to deal with his mother about to die, and they have to deal with all this property stuff, and that's kind of how the movie starts. But the fact that he's not able to consummate his marriage, like there's that tension of he's obviously thinking about that, and then the whole movie is like this literal rendition of this girl of Lilia Prado, the main actress. Temptation, like in a literal example, trying to just stop being a literal representation of like society or morality, trying to stop him, or you could read it either way, trying to stop him from his keeping true to his desires, or maybe helping him. To me, it's helping, but I don't know. Like, it's hard to say, like. Because he obviously wants to stay faithful to his wife. Yeah. But at the same time, this whole movie is like, is it even possible? Like,
not with her.
No, not with her. But yeah, that's basically how the movie starts. Like, kind of, I love like, he's kind of like Buñuel does this a lot, where he's like, you can tell he's like making fun of the tradition without like making fun of it too much. It's like a non-judgmental way. I feel like because like, there's like this scene of the couple, they have to go and like beg the mom for them to get married, and like it's supposed to be a whole show of the mom is obviously going to say yes, but they have to act like they say no, and they're going to say no and everything.
Yeah.
But this whole idea of just like Rachel being like fake in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they go through that and they get married. Everyone's celebrating. But then I kind of they're on the boat and then they get stopped by the brother of the mother who's about to die, and I kind of like this. It's like this tension of like I think Blake mentioned how this main guy like he's kind of the idea of progress. He's always trying to move forward, but like. You never really see them look back at all, really. Like, the fact that his mom is dying is not what's important, really, in this whole movie. Yeah. Like, what's really important is, like, she's dying, so this property is going to go to someone else in the future that's not them, you know?
Because as a son, you're watching this and you're like, damn, I would really, like, hate to see my mother on her deathbed. And then all three of these guys are just, like, waiting for her to die, essentially. And then you're our one main guy. We're like, oh, this guy's, like...
At least he's the one.
At least he cares for his mother, and he does. I mean, he is shown to care at least more.
See, in a neorealist movie, he might be the one that only cares.
Yeah,
but Buñuel neorealism is like he cares, but he's still selfish. You know,
he cares, but this is still for him.
And he's still realistic in the sense that he still has to think about the future for his kid or this kid. It's not his kid.
Their sibling or something. It's like
a nephew or something.
I think it's someone they took in.
Yeah, I forget. I actually don't.
Oh yeah, it's the daughter. The daughter died during childbirth, and that's the kid that was left. So it's their nephew.
But basically, so you can see his point of view, like
yes,
because you would much rather have this kid have it than those other brothers.
Well, it's very easy to be on his side because we heard the mom.
But it's not for. But that's the key point is we're not on his side because like he just loves his mom more than the other. You know, like which would be a normal movie. Like it would create that dichotomy. It's more like Buñuel would say realistic is like there's multiple interests and like.
Because we see how selfish he is too.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what this whole point is. Like like even the good guy's cheating on his wife by the end of the movie. You know, but yeah, but that's kind of how the movie starts. We get like a scene of Lilia Prado. That's why I haven't seen enough like Mexican genre movies. But I think her character would make more sense. Like apparently, like there's like
was she a big star. Like
she was a huge star, but also like this kind of role of the temptress was popular in genres. At least in certain Mexican genres, according to the book and stuff. Like, so I think Buñuel's trying to like kind of subvert that, or at least make fun of that. You know, like she's just almost too much of a temptress in this. You know, like especially by the time she's on the bus, like that's literally her whole new role.
Yes.
Because I love the end where she's just like, "Yep, my job's here's done." Like, that's it. Like it's not like she has like no feelings. They basically like high five after. You know? Like it's like so casual, but yeah, then everyone. This is a great scene where like the movie actually begins. Where so the son has decided he has to go to the city to get the will signed. But like when all the different people are getting on the bus and we're kind of getting introduced to like the different walks of life. I think you said like we see the politician. We see actually my favorite part is the bus driver who actually just knows all these different people like as friends. You know, because like. I feel like that's like a traditional thing, you know. Especially,
like everyone.
Yeah, like
bus drivers like kind of like.
Yeah, the guy that actually knows everyone.
Yeah, he's the one that drives them to their work.
Yes, exactly.
It's like it's not even just the bus, just like some type of like serviceman. Like a lot of times, like a bartender, basically.
Yeah,
too.
It's that kind of role. Yeah.
I guess it's more bartender in like westerns. I guess it probably changes by the genre. I'm assuming, which is an interesting thing about
like I know like especially for playtime, I think I noticed how much Tati loves like security guards. Yeah, I feel like they have that kind of role too a little bit. Like they like the way they interact with society is kind of similar. You see what I'm saying? Like the bus driver, the security guard, that kind of.
Or maybe like the hotel, like
bartender is similar. Hotel man. Yeah, that kind of that sort of kind of service job, I guess.
Yes.
But this bus driver is so great too, as we'll get to later. But everyone's getting on the bus. There's a lot of little jokes you'll miss if feel like not paying attention. Like to kind of like show the movie starting. He's like the camera's on his. He's like hugging his wife, saying goodbye. It's like all sad. And all it does is just pan like 45 degrees to the right, and then it shows Lilia Prado like coming up to him from the other side, and that's like how you know like the movie's basically starting. You know? And it doesn't even cut back or anything. So. But then we also see like the politician gets on. We kind of see like we're basically getting different types of people.
Archetypes.
Archetypes. Yeah. But another funny joke. Do you guys remember what's the first thing that happens after they start the trip? they get a flat tire.
Oh,
it literally like right away cuts to them getting a flat tire, then they have to stop.
Well, no, because it has a great shot of like it's like a Monster Godot-esque like shot, like of like the wheel turning, which he has like some interesting shots of the like. I know he goes to like a very obvious miniature at some point.
He does,
like during in the rain, like.
I think that's on the Ascent to Heaven.
It's like damn, it's like so interesting.
No.
Like how they
that efficiency too. There's a few moments like that. Like later on when they get stuck in the water. It's like the way he shows it is just so clean. It's just like wide shot, medium shot, close shot of the tire, and then it's like that's it. And then everyone's getting out of the bus and stuff. Like nowadays it'd be like 100 shots, and like everyone would be dramatic about the water bus going in the water and shit.
Oh my god!
Yeah, like the Man of Steel scene. Like,
okay,
I don't know why
that's a classic.
That is a good scene though.
Story.
Yeah, okay, but still, you know what I mean. That kind of like. A bus drowning.
No, yeah.
I guess they're not in danger in this one, really, because everyone's just like happy, like.
We get to go.
Yeah, but before we get to that though, because they are, I love kind of these in between moments too, where they're all just in the bus talking. So like this is kind of the first time it happens after they fix the flat tire, the driving. We like I don't want to like I don't have anything specifically wrote down, but like well, there's one quote I have wrote down where one of the ladies says. She says a slow stride is better than a tiring one. I actually forgot the context. But I think they're talking about, like... it's basically like Buñuel kind of, like, appreciating this kind of traditional...
No, I think they're talking about, like, the bus not going super fast.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that's what they're talking about. Like, what?
But, like, I just like that quote in terms of, like... The idea of progress, like, would not be... It doesn't go with that one, you know? Progress has to be fast, in a way. We get that more with Illusion Travels by Streetcar, this idea of just, like... This progress, like, destroying everything else, you know? But, it's kind of here in this one too, but then the bus gets stuck again. Basically, this movie is about a bunch of times just the bus getting stuck or just not on the right path. But the bus gets stuck. It has one of my like because I mentioned last week how Buñuel, at least he always tried to avoid symbolism, where he always like try to keep with reality to the object anyway. But it has one of my favorite shots where the bus is stuck and it's like smoking, and then like all the characters are walking on the side of the bus. Like trying to get around it, but it's like it's that kind of theme, that idea of just like the bus, like the people are having helped the bus versus the other way, you know, like people are having to push it, and like it's over and over again, like the people of the bus are having to help the social institution instead of the other way around.
Yes.
And it's kind of just like a visual representation of that in that one shot, which I love. But then like we get these kind of like these like huge swings. So like the bus breaks down, but then all of a sudden it leads to this woman giving birth. Because she's like on the there's a pregnant lady. She's on the way to the city.
This came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I guess everything in this movie.
Everything in this movie comes out of nowhere.
Like,
exactly. No, I called like in my notes a couple times. I would call it like a heavy contrast, where you get like one thing and all of a sudden the exact opposite, but it still in a way feels even. You know, like even if it's just like a huge swing in the narrative, like. It just doesn't feel that way as you're watching it, you know? It's like, oh, it's just another thing.
Well, I think the bus driver even says later on in the movie that he's like, we witness all walks. I don't remember.
No, I have the quote.
He's like, we witness all walks of life. A birth, a birthday, and a death or something, or a funeral.
Well, that's later on when that girl dies.
No, yeah.
Well, he does say something. Okay, so basically, it's like a long kind of just like, I love this. This is another kind of Tati thing where the chaos is almost like a beautiful thing in its own way.
Oh yeah.
Where like we see it broken down, but everyone's celebrating the birth of the baby and stuff, and it's kind of just like a sweet moment, even though it's like the bus is broken down and like everyone's stuck.
Literally, like the restaurant playtime is
that's what I was
like
thinking.
The social
That's exactly.
Like,
there's a few moments like that where it reminds me of that playtime.
I mean, the whole first half basically, like and afterwards, it's no one's walking straight lines. I could talk about playtime for a while.
No, yeah. But then finally they get the bus to start working, and this is where the bus driver says, because he's like basically he's like trying to give himself credit for getting the bus to work again. He says, "See what I did say? See how fluid it is now?" But then someone else says, "Yes, but you can't deny there was an accident." And then he says, "Sure, but in exchange of new life," like talking about the baby and stuff. So I was like, "Damn, it's a good way to look at it." Like, but then they have to stop like right after, or I don't remember. Like they basically have to stop again, and this reminds me of Illusion Travels by Streetcar scene where like a few more people come in with their animals, and they're like one guy, I think it's a politician. He says, "We'll never get ahead like this with people and animals on the same bus or something like that." But it's so funny because it's like that's like Buñuel's whole thing is like if progress means like leaving these kind of people behind, like. what is progress in the first place?
Like,
you know?
Yeah.
But like that's of course is what this politician is saying, and that's why I love the illusion travel. Like Illusion Travels by Streetcar has a very similar feeling to that. You know?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But and then one more thing I wanted to mention was Buñuel has this quote. Like so, this is I told you that book, The Conversation with Max Saba, I've been reading, and he was like. He was older when he said this, but I think it's really funny about how he sees like art in general, and like it kind of goes with this scene in a way. So quote, and he's talking about this serially. So he says, Today they suggest burning all my works, and I do it without a moment's thought. I'd burn every work of art without a twinge of remorse. I'm not interested in art, but in people. You think it's an anarchist idea? You're right. I get more anarchist every day. What's the use of so many works of art? What have they ever done for us? Look at the situation human beings are in today. It's pathetic. We're better off with the Virgin Mary, who at least represents chastity and purity. I have no interest in geniuses if they're not decent people. And almost all the best art is being made, or at least has been made, by sons of bitches. It's not worthwhile. I don't accept it. I'm not interested in it.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar thing Godard went through after the 60s. Like,
yes.
What's use of cinema if reality is how it is?
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, we still see this say, like, oh, he's a great artist, but he's a bad person kind of thing. Like, is that possible? But, like, Buñuel's obviously saying, like,
no.
it just, even if it's possible, I don't care. Like, that makes art bad. You know? Like, that makes art bad. Yeah. But I just, like, to me, like, this scene kind of shows that in a way, you know? Like, he's, like, such an artistic director because he's, like, almost non-artistic, you know? Like, his images are almost so direct, especially in these two movies. But... we keep going. This is now where the next time they get stuck is in the water, as we've already mentioned. Yes. With like just so efficient, like wide shot, medium shot, close up of the tire gets stuck in the water, and then everyone's getting out of the bus. This is where like it actually feels like it's like a self. This is the one where it actually like feels like the playtime one, where it's like it's just like super chaotic. Like there's like kids everywhere, like just having fun in the water. We see Lily Prado trying to seduce. This is the scene where I would have folded in for sure, because she even says something like she says this is the translation, "You're filthy, let's take a dip in that pond." I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've definitely folded here, but yeah, they're all talking and stuff, and then we get, I think I forgot who has the idea of like the cows first, like, but the cows come. Because they try to use the cows first. And
I think it's just the farmers.
Like, get the farmers nearby.
Yeah.
They try to get the cows first to help.
Yeah.
The cows can't help. And then the congressman, he gets...
No, the cows are on the way to help. And then
the
congressman's like, get those cows out of here.
Yeah. He's like, we're going to do it the modern way.
Or something like that.
And I love the people watching, too, because they're like... well, first... Because he's trying to force the guy to do it, because the guy doesn't want to do it. And he pulls out the gun, like, secretly. Like, he's like, points at him, and the guy's like, okay. It's so funny, that moment too. But I want to read how that author of the Mexican cinema book I've been reading, how he describes the scene, because I think it's kind of great. Because he mentions how like this contrast of the politician messing up is kind of important to like how Buñuel is like kind of commenting on Mexican cinema generally, or just Mexico in general. So, quote. In this scene, this bus as a metaphor of Mexican governmental institutions becomes most clear, almost literally specific. While the bus is stuck in the water, Silvestre calls on his compadre, what happens to be standing by to help them pull the bus out with the oxen-powered cart. The politician, in tune with development policy, objects to the use of undeveloped technology and calls upon a passing tractor to help. When both the bus and the tractor are immobilized under the water, the old cart, driven by a little girl, comes into the action and saves the day. The push for modernization and machismo, as well as the paternalistic attitude of the state, are undermined by tradition and an unlikely heroine. Which, I mean, just like that contrast of like the politician, the kind of machismo, he says paternalistic authority, kind of just being, just in this one shot, being like undermined by this like little girl. The way it pans to her too, or like, I think it may be a cut, but like the way it just cuts to her, like everyone's like arguing, like kind of don't know what's going on, and it just shows her like leading both cows to pull out the bus by herself. It's just like, it's just like honestly one of the most beautiful Buñuel scenes for me. Especially like at the very end, like Ashley's pointed out, we hear it a few times. I don't know what horn it is, but it's a horn instrument. And the reason I mentioned that is because Buñuel says his favorite instrument is like he says his favorite instruments are the trumpets, the full orchestra, the oboe, and most of all the French horn. So I think it's one of the horn instruments, but we hear it over and over again where like we think we're getting the good moment or like maybe a sensationalized moment, and then we'll hear like the horn to almost like counteract it, you know, like. So yeah, he uses like that pretty well throughout the movie. But then we get we see them leave, and we get like a final last shot of like the farmers basically with the girl kind of just waving at
as they go to get the tractor too.
Basically, like another idea of just the people having to help the social institution instead of the other way. You know, like these traditional people that society's leaving behind is the one that's like the one that ended up having to help them. You know, but then we keep going. We get honestly maybe one of Buñuel's most direct dream sequences with when like the bus turns into like a forest and basically he's like we're getting the inner desire of his dream of she's like seducing him and stuff, and like there's like a weird shot of his like mother on a statue or something, just like I don't even know exactly what she's supposed to be.
I mean, it's probably something like Freudian, probably.
Yeah, like kind of like he has to get over. I don't know exactly why the mother's there. But...
desire.
Yeah.
Or it's just well, it's like the whole ending of the movie is honestly like it's fucking hilarious because it's just a comedy of like it's like a comedy and a tragedy basically, because this guy, the reason he didn't get back to his mom at the end in time is because he fucked the girl at the top of the mountain. At least that's what you assume.
Honestly, yeah, you can see it.
So like that's the desires that he's like fighting in this dream in my.
But you could say that's only one thing that stopped him. Because this whole movie is like just full of stops. That thing's stopping him from getting
society
there.
Stopping.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Is like this.
But what makes it so funny is at the very end. I think they said, "Oh, she just passed like literally 10 minutes ago. If you would have gotten here just like 10 minutes earlier."
No, that is
that's like, and then you're like,
and that moment too is great. I was gonna mention that, but now that you mentioned it, I'll say it now. I was like, because I've been mentioning the music. He uses the music very similar in that, where you think it'll be like a sad moment, but it's just like ambivalent. You know, it's kind of just like it's like another moment happening in the movie, but you think it's just like this. Oh, like he just missed her 10 minutes, and then like what happens right after that's even funnier because you're like. You think he's gonna be really sad, but like, no, we have to find a way to get her to sign the papers anyway. You know, like,
give me the ink.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, damn, and like those are the good guys. So
no, he becomes his brothers because it's a very clear parallel between both of them because we see his brothers try to do the same thing.
Yes,
they're like, except I guess the mom is alive at that point, but because she's like, I can't write, my hand's too weak. No, like that's okay. Well, she's got your hand. All you need is a cross.
No, but then. We'll get to there later too.
Oh yeah.
But, go back in the narrative. We're at the part basically. It's honestly one of like one of just like little favorite moments in the movie of the bus driver like being too tired and he's like, I'm going to sleep. Someone else can drive. And so now the main character has to drive the bus too. That like he's not. You know, it's obviously just another kind of representation of that metaphor of the people having to like spur the social institutions the other way around. But the fact that I also love is like Buñuel doesn't overly judge the bus driver too. Like you can tell this guy's obviously tired. Like he probably like he seems like a hard worker. I mean, even if he's not, like we should feel bad for him in a way because it's probably not a great job.
I mean, he's driving all by himself to this point,
exactly.
So he's got to be the driver the entire way without any stops.
Exactly. So that's why I love like because there's one like we kind of get both sides of them arguing in this bus scene. Is like. I think it's like, it's the guy that owns like the chickens. He's like, why is our bus driver driving? He's like basically complaining about the bus driver, you know, obviously like sleeping during the job. And I think it's Lilio Prado. She says, always among hens, all he does is cluck and complain. But then like it's like we get like kind of a transition to the next morning, and the bus driver comes back to drive, and I think it's the same guy that says, "Heavenly Jesus, what a life, brother! They pay you for sleeping." Like, damn, that's funny.
Honestly, similar thing in Waking Life to the dreams and work. Like do you remember in Waking Life when they talk about like when you dream of work, like now they're like taking my dream. They aren't paying me for my dreams. Like,
and now they pay me. I
just thought of that.
Damn. But then like that's why this bus driver is so funny. So like he just slept on the job for like overnight. Then he comes back, and the next thing that happens is we're taking a detour. He says,
"It's my mom's birthday."
Yeah. Because he says, someone mentions the place they're actually going. The end of the destination, the city is called Petlanan, And he says, someone mentions it, and he says, "Who said we're going to Pet London?" And then the main guy's like, "Wait, we aren't?" And he's like, "We are, but first we're going to to celebrate my mom." Like
she was right outside the city.
Yeah. No, but it's honestly like a sweet moment too, because they all start singing in the bus, and then it cuts to the mom at her house, and she hears them like from far, and she like fake sleeps.
Yeah.
Just like a sweet moment.
It's another dichotomy between how the bus driver treats his mom and how we see the sons treating their mom on their deathbed too. So.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah. No, yeah, that's a good point. Because there's another movie. Do you remember there's a similar kind of moment in a different... To this moment, there's a moment in a different movie where a mother gets sung to by like a town, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I mention the movie.
Hold on, don't tell me yet. A mother gets sung.
We talked about this director already too.
A mother gets sung to by a town.
5, 4.
Juliet.
No.
It's
How Green Was My Valley?
Oh
shit! Yeah. We
remember that scene?
We haven't done the director.
John, I said we talked about him on the episode.
I thought we did.
No, I meant earlier.
I thought you meant doing this series on. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
No, but How Green Was My Valley. Remember that scene?
I know you're talking
it's like one of my favorite scenes ever. But this one's kind of similar too. It's that idea just like this like old mom getting like sung to by the town, just like almost randomly.
Honestly,
yeah. No, but yeah, then they start singing for her and stuff, and then like this is when the celebration. I think we already talked about this earlier. It's like it kind of like just leads into the celebration scene of her birthday and stuff. We get on like I think I'm gonna play the music at the beginning of the episode, but this is like that San Marcos song. It's like one of the longest moments we get like a full just stretch of music in a Buñuel movie. Yeah. It's like everyone just dancing like as much as Buñuel gets like for being like kind of a weird director, a surrealist director or whatever, he has so many just like beautiful poetic moments, almost like just natural moments to me, definitely. Especially in these two.
It's a classic Mexican siesta, as the tour guy would say.
Oh my god, well we're basically there right now, because like this is what I'm saying, like Buñuel still, like even when he has these very poetic moments, the birth of the baby, this moment, all of a sudden he has to like contrast it with the exact opposite, because then like these American bus American bus tours come.
Oh wow.
Literally someone says wonderful. Because they're speaking in English in person. One of them says, "No, speak to us in Spanish."
Yeah. Oh my god. No, that's like the mom that like says "gracias" to the waiter. To the man
this is making me want to watch Playtime so bad again. Damn. No, but then it's so funny because as they're singing, like after the tourists come, William Prado like starts like faking. She's like starts posing for them too and starts singing her version. I think she's from a different town. I forgot what town. It's like the neighboring town or whatever. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode, but Buñuel said this screenplay was based on the true story of one of the writers that wrote this screenplay. I forgot his name, but so I'm wondering how much of this like seducing stuff happened, and like how much of he's basing that on his what actually happened. The poet's name in the writer the screenplay of this too is named Manuel Alto Laguerria. I don't know if I said that right at all. But I'm like, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like now, when I was after I saw that, I was like, I wonder how much of this is based on
he goes
reality.
home to his wife.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm like. Did he actually cheat on his wife?
She was like, so.
Yeah. Which one?
How much of this is real?
You want to tell me something?
How much of this is real?
Because it does feel so random. Like it would be crazy if someone happened to someone, but like I could see why they would like. It feels maybe it could happen too, especially a lot of these random stops. Like,
I guess, yeah.
Like a bus breaking down, just multiple times. Like not true. But like as the celebration's going on, I forget. Oh yeah, he says he basically has to get there already.
Yeah.
Like he can't wait. So as he drives off, of course, the demon, not the temptress, chases him at the last second and gets on the bus too. And that kind of leads us to, that basically leads us to this kind of the ascent to heaven, the storm with honestly more one of Buñuel's more exciting moments. Dramatic moments, I guess, like with the actual bus. They're like as it's like raining and stuff. I guess the main point of it is he cheats on her. I guess that's the main point.
Well, doesn't it get like really foggy too, and that's why they have to stop because that adds the.
Well, they have to stop at the top for some reason, like because it's just like too foggy and.
I think it's too foggy. Yeah.
But see, that's why like all this stuff is very ambiguous. Like you could be like, oh, he just doesn't know like what they're supposed to do. But I think it's supposed to be like that on purpose. Like this idea of like, does he stop because it's too foggy, or it's because like his deep down desire is like this is the best spot to be with her. You know, like they're alone.
Is the fog a symbol, or is it real fog?
Yeah. And now like literally he's ascended to heaven in a way. You know, because like the way they're talking like during the scene as they're going up, it's like. It's classic, like, you could say eroticism, where, like, they're saying they don't want each other, but really they do. So, like, it's a classic, like, this idea of, like, what we say is one thing, and what we're thinking is the exact opposite, you know? It's like, we're kind of getting this whole scene, which leads up to, he does cheat on her, right?
Oh,
like, it's not a dream.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But the way it's shot, because it's, like, it just, all of a sudden, also super efficient, it's just, right when they kiss, it pans out to, like, the storm, and then, like, the camera pans out to the bus as it gets like wider and wider basically from the outside, so that's like all you need to show. But then we cut to the next day and they're driving back. She looks like super satisfied and like actually they both do. I think they're both smiling from what I remember, but yeah, that's as they're driving back, the brothers. This is actually kind of an important scene because the brothers talking about like, oh, I wonder what the other brothers are doing now. And it's kind of to show, like, this is another one of those heavy... It's like a subtle moment, but it's another heavy contrast moment, because if you think about it from the narrative point of view, we just saw our hero cheat on his wife, like, before they could even consummate the marriage with this woman. So we think he's bad now, right, in a way. But as he's riding back, we get this flashback to the other brothers who are also, like, who are actually the evil ones. And the way they actually decide, do you guys remember, like, how they decide to give up the property? Like,
they're playing dice.
Yeah, they're playing dice. Yeah. Like, literally, these are the opponents, you know? So it's like, even if you want this guy to be bad, like, look who he has to deal with.
Yeah,
like, you still have to cheer for this guy, basically. Fuck you. Yeah, it doesn't matter if he cheats on his wife. You just cheer for him. Because, like, and you're right, though. You kind of have to, because, like... Yeah. From the, like, you know, at least in the narrative, is like, do you really want these guys getting the house instead of at least that other kid? You know, like
exactly. That's what our hero's saying. That
exactly. Yeah.
The dice game's also pretty funny too because he rolls the double fives. And he's like, looks like fate's against you, and then his brother's just like, ha ha ha. And then he rolls double sixes. And oh my god.
Yeah. And the way it's like revealed too, that because they're so serious about it, and they're like, okay, how are we gonna decide? And like when they come to like when they take the dice, it just cracks me up every time. But, like, that's kind of, like, maybe Buñuel likes that more, too. Just the idea of chance, you know, like, just leave it all to chance.
Yeah,
honestly.
But that's where I say, like, they finally arrive in Petlanen. When she's getting out of the bus, that's where I was saying, like, they basically, like, high-fiving, because, like, she says goodbye and good luck, and, like, it's just, like, cordial, you know? It's, like, it's not like they're mad at each other or anything, especially her, but then, she's like...
she's just like, I got what I want.
Yeah, she literally says that, yeah. But then we get now they're in Petlanen, and we get, like, just one political moment with the politician, because it's so funny. It's, like, this is just, like, it honestly doesn't even need to be the movie, because it has nothing to do with the narrative, but it's just a funny moment of, we see, like, the politician shaking hands with, like, his rival candidate in public, and they're, like, one guy says, political adversaries are not personal enemies, and they're, like, oh, it's good to see some good men are left. And then it cuts to, like, him, like, coming out of the alley, like, beaten up by the same politicians right after. Just, like, a great moment.
Honestly, I should have known Buñuel would have been like his depiction of a politician. I should have known would have been amazing. Like, because I feel like he's never like.
I mean, we get him in Discreet Charm. They're all politicians.
Are they actually?
Yeah.
I haven't seen them.
That's one of them is ambassador for Miranda, which is like a Latin American country. Like it's made up, but all of them like are just like bashing it anyway. Yeah, and it's fine. We'll get.
I haven't seen it in a while.
No. So he definitely has.
But his style is very much fit to make fun of him.
Yes, he's like making fun of him for sure.
Well, I like this one a lot, honestly, because doesn't the politician like walk out and the guys are like walking in the march and he's like, "Here they come, my people." Wait, or is that later on in the movie? I can't remember.
Wait, sorry, say that again?
Because doesn't the politician like walk out of the bus and then like all the people are like marching?
Yes, yeah, no,
because he's like, see how my people come to me, and then they like throw mud at him or something.
Oh damn, yeah, he's just shitting on this guy the whole time. But yeah, basically I don't even know if we see him actually get the will signed or anything. I don't have my notes. But anyway, they're basically back on the bus.
No, he just gives them the will.
He does.
Oh, you mean the brothers?
No, this guy, main guy.
No, this main guy. It's also a little bit funny because it's kind of another like metaphor on society almost, because like the doctor or this lawyer is too old to make the trip back to their town, so that's why he's staying, giving the papers. He's like, I would never be able to make a trip like that. So.
No, but so basically he gets his papers and they're on the way back, and this is another one of those, you could say, like a heavy contrast scene, because like you could say the movie's kind of concluded, but then we get like almost like the most brutal scene in the movie with this girl. Is it the same girl we saw earlier, the farmer's girl?
I don't remember. I think we're supposed to recognize her, maybe, because we see
so.
her face.
I think it is the farmer's girl, which makes it even worse, honestly. But I'm not sure, because they see her in a casket, and they're like, "What happened?" And the dad says, "Just life, compadre." And they basically get on the bus. The daughter's died, and it's honestly some of the saddest lines in the movie where they're on the bus driving with the girl, and the bus driver says, "Who would have known? Some go and others arrive. The day before yesterday, a little angel was born. Today, another one took flight." And then the dad says, "Poor thing, poor us who have to endure such disorderly times." It's like, damn.
Yeah. It's brutal, but it's also said in this way. It's said in this way that's like a little bit comedic, just because it's like say love you.
Well, it still has that same flat tone.
Yeah, it's like that's life.
Honestly,
yeah, it's like they're saying in
that. He even says that earlier. That's just life, compadre.
Yeah, it's similar to like Ozu.
Yeah, honestly. Like the way it's presented is kind of...
Yeah.
You could see as comedic because it's not as sad as you would almost expect it to be in that moment. No, because he even says a little later, "Too bad the earth has to eat her," which is like another like kind of sad moment too. But that's like... This is where it's... we're getting these heavy contrasts like back and forth. So like we get this sad moment with the funeral with the girl dying, and they're all getting out. Like the passengers are doing the right thing. They're all getting out to go to the funeral. But then of course the main guy's like, I have to go back to get this signature no matter what. Like of course, kind of this like it's not even only for his mom that he's like rushing it. Now it's like he has to rush past this little girl's death too. In a way, just to get this will signed. But which makes it even worse because like he comes back and he's still 10 minutes late. His mom, as we talked about, the mother has already died. And I mentioned, I will mention again, just like the neutral music is just like so. Like this is another kind of I think it's Ozu that's made me like kind of really start to pay attention to how music is used to like either like contrast an emotion to like kind of like make you feel that contrast or like enhance it.
Yes.
That's usually what music does in a way. Like. But Buñuel uses it to contrast, to almost like find balance. Like this guy's like walking in to his mom that's just died. This whole movie's been about like trying to get the will so she can sign it. So you think it'd be a big moment, like oh my god, like I'm late, but it's just like, all right, move on to the next thing. We're gonna fake her signature now. But yeah, I love how the movie ends with like, I love how the movie teases that. The brothers are going to be the one that fake her signature. Yeah. And then the good guy is the one that ends up actually doing it. Like, no, but yeah, they get her signature. And then I want to just read a quick quote about how the guy of that Mexican book describes it. He says, quote, upon the main lead's return home, he finds that his mother has died, and he proceeds to falsify the documents she was supposed to sign by stamping them with her fingerprints, making the trip to legitimize the property paradoxically ended forgery. Which is so great a way to say it. Is like
it is.
Like the whole idea of just like to legitimize the property ends in just faking a signature to get it through.
It's so good.
But
yeah, then the actual ending is just so good because it just ends like it's supposed to be happy. You're just like, what?
No, well, we get the quick scene. There's like the funeral where it's kind of like a celebrating. It's like a funeral where everyone's in the house and the brother's like, let's talk about this later. Yeah. So another thing, like we're not even gonna see how this movie's gonna fucking resolve because they're like, we'll just talk about it later. And then but then we see like him walking with his wife, holding hands with like the kid in the beach. For no reason, like I guess from her perspective, it's like things have gone somewhat well, because she doesn't know what's actually happened. But like the idea of this happy ending while like they're walking towards the beach, the music's rising, but like the movie hasn't earned that at all. Like it just further like kind of enhances that contrast in a way.
Like the bone hair, honestly.
The what?
The bone hair.
Okay. Yes. That idea. Yeah.
I mean, literally they're walking away from the camera.
The one thing I would say, the one different, at least
much more cynical.
Yes.
Bond.
Yes.
That one is like having the contrast for cynicism.
Yeah.
This one I think is just being more ambivalent. Like, this is what life is, you know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
even the
yeah.
good guys cheat on their wives sometimes, or like...
Even the good
just-
guys cheat on their wives and forge documents. So.
Yeah.
But even if not literally cheat on their wife, they have desires to, you know, because that's what
Yeah,
society
yeah.
provides and stuff
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
because you did skip like the whenever he gets the reveal of his mom, he does have that little like memory
yes,
of
I did
the
forget that.
ascent to heaven, and then
Yes.
the woman just to her face
Her
basically.
face. Yes, damn. Yeah.
This is Desire 1. So.
Well, she eating the apple like Eve, basically. I got, which is relevant because she plays Eve in the next movie we're gonna do. But she's saying, "I got what I wanted," you know. But see, if you see her as the idea of like representing society,
or society.
like if she says, "I got what I wanted," you know, like society stopped him in a way, or you know, so you can see it that way, or desire, like you said. The idea that society creates desires in us too is like a Buñuel thing, but yeah, that's Mexican Bus Ride. One of my all-time favorites.
It's a great movie.
But yeah,
Favorite Buñuel? Actually, no, probably not. Right.
I'll save it.
Oh no, he's gonna be
But yeah,
like, same tier.
Same tier. But yeah, we'll take a quick break and come back with Illusion Travels by Streetcar.
1, 2, 3. Arriba dormidones, ya es hora de trabajo. Es hora sin más hora y el cuco está cantando. Arriba, arriba, el cuco está cantando. Arriba, arriba, el cuco está cantando.
And welcome back to Floating Through Film as we start Illusion Travels by Streetcar. What year is this actually? 1954. So this is kind of crazy. Honestly, I want to just go through like how many movies he's made up to this point, basically in Mexico. Because so he made, like I said, Grand Casino 1947, The Great Madcap 1949, Los Olvidados that we did last week 1950, Susana 1951, Daughter of Deceit 1951, Mexican Bus Ride 1952. So that was 2 years after Olvidados. Another movie, Woman Without Love, also 1952. The Brute, 1953. L, 1953. And now this week we're doing this one, 1954, Illusion Travels by Streetcar. Basically 2 movies a year. Yeah. Feels like Ford was doing that for a while. Probably more.
Yeah, Ford was insane.
Like, for how many movies it says he's directed? Like, he must have been doing 3 in some years.
Yeah.
But the reason why I kind of bring that up is, like, with this kind of efficient style, like, of just filming what you need, you can see why you could make 2 films in a year, you know? Yeah. Especially if you have, like, genre material to kind of base it on, you know? But, I don't know, what do you guys, what are your thoughts on this movie, overall?
I mean, I kind of said earlier, but, like...
So
honestly,
is there anything sticks out that's different than the other one?
Well, just the portrait of the city, really.
Okay.
Is mainly what I got from it. Like, kind of like all these different, like, walks of life. But also framing it through, like, the streetcar is really interesting, too, to me. Yeah, it's just a great movie to watch. I don't know. Like,
This movie's just funny, man.
honestly, yeah, it's just...
It's definitely like Mexican Bus Ride is comedic, but a lot of that comes just from my reading of it. I feel like also because a lot of things that happen in that are not what most people would consider comedic. This one though, it feels like the rich man and the tramp and City Lights got together and just decided to like make a movie about this runaway train, because that's what those 2 guys remind me of, honestly. Except obviously they aren't rich; they're both poor. But but that's just like like this whole thing just starts basically because they got drunk one night and just wanted to go for a joyride. So
They're smaller than
but it's also the car is getting decommissioned.
no, yeah.
So
one last joyride for everyone.
Yeah, one last joyride. Yeah. But the kind of almost like randomness that it happens too, like. I just love, but
but I just think it's really funny, honestly. Like more so even than the other one that we watched. Okay. So
no, I probably
like there's a lot of obviously like
this one feels
there's a lot
more,
of social commentary in this one too. But
you could say this is more protagonist to 3.
Yes,
at least in a way, you know.
Yeah, like, I can see that.
4, the streetcar too.
Okay, yeah. No, it's funny how you said runaway streetcar because. There's especially one shot that makes me think of Unstoppable. But like this is like a runaway streetcar, but like in a Buñuel way. This is like the most dramatic. That's like the most dramatic because there's literally a shot where it's okay because I just played for the break the music of the kids singing, but it's like the scene immediately after they run away from them, basically. But it's like it looks like it's literally speeding away, like at this angle. It's just so funny the way he cuts to it. Before we get to the movie specifically, I wanted to mention just some kind of things overall about the movie that kind of I like about it. That author, damn, I said I was going to look up. I will, I promise. I need to mention his name, but he mentions a couple things that really stand out about the movie that I like. So first, he kind of points out that this is this will be a theme that he uses the story as a catalyst rather than the narrative. Which if you kind of think about it, that kind of makes sense. If the movie is like the story is like. I'll read the narration, how he actually opens it, but the movie's supposed to be like a story of a city in a way. I guess that's what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, it said at the end like it's like a portrait of like thousands of different. Something similar.
Yes,
to
that's
that,
what I'm going to read the quote. Yeah, but it's like the portrait of a city through almost like a random story. He even says that, like an ambiguous story.
It's an excuse to get to that.
Yes, the excuse to, and what he mentions is. Kind of like the main themes of the movie is Buñuel observes the gap between the urban and the working class, which you kind of get a few scenes of that, which I love. Honestly, various classes too. Like, that's another way to say all walks of life, I guess. But I think class is important because he really emphasizes the kind of economic aspect of the different communities you see throughout the movie.
Because one of the best things is like which ones are happy to accept a free ride and which ones aren't, basically. So.
Yes. No, honestly, yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out because yes, that's one of my favorite things about the movie too. Is like not only that, but like, and kind of this is related to that theme of observing that gap is to watch how happy some of the people from the slaughterhouse, especially, how happy they are to like just get this random miracle of a streetcar that they don't have to pay for. Yeah, it's just honestly, it's kind of sad, but it's also really sweet at the same time. Like,
because everyone's mentioning in this movie how the prices are going up, which I mean, like it's relatable, obviously. This day and age,
that's actually I'm glad you mentioned that too, because there's a lot of different side moments you could say that are just non-narrative at all, but mentions of that. Like that one, there's two people we see towards the beginning where they're talking about inflation. We also see later where like. The bread owner like closes the store because he's like raising prices, and everyone's like yelling at him and stuff. But he's like arguing from like capitalist perspective. He's like I'm allowed to like stuff like that. But I mentioned this on the last one you did Mexican Bus Ride too. But he also mentions with this movie as well, like how the comedy, and you guys said this movie is way funnier, but I think it's also funny in a way that I mentioned last episode or last movie. Where you're not laughing at the characters, or you're not laughing at their
expense.
At their expense, yes. But at the same time, he's not hero-fying them, which I love. Like they're still drunk, like they're still going to drink.
They're still human, basically.
Yes, exactly. That's what Buñuel will say, Like he doesn't want it to be anything else, but
they still leave these women and children at a random place.
Yes.
And just drive off.
No, like after you think they're gonna be sweet, picking them up and stuff. Like you get this sweet song of them singing, and then just they leave them. But but yeah, I think I pointed out everything. He also points out basically like how you could see the stops. In the last movie as representing different kind of things in Mexican society, you see this a very similar thing in this movie. Like where every time they stop, you're seeing like a different class or section of society. Yes. And he's trying to comment on that rather than just like you're not just there because of some narrative logic. You're there. You're more there just because of the commentary. Exactly. But like it's funny. Like now that we're talking about Tati, you want to just keep going with it? Because like now I have the comparison in my head. Like, but like just the idea of. Even though it feels very similar, right? They're both trying to just arrive at a certain situation so they can like present like a gag or something or a social commentary / gag at the same time. Yeah. But like the way their protagonists do it are very their own, Oh yeah. Like Buñuel is very more you could say cynical, but like I don't know, but he's like a sweet cynical. He's not too cynical, But Tati's way more like
Kilo stumbled in here.
Yeah, like I don't know. He's like he feels innocent, but not innocent. He feels like beyond innocent in a way. I don't know how to describe him.
Honestly, yeah.
Like he feels like he knows what he's going on, but
Kilo, you might not understand what he's doing, but he has a reason.
But yeah, that's what
he's God. That's what you're saying.
For Luke is.
I mean, I guess, good point.
But the main reason
he works in mysterious ways. Someone might say.
I pray to Tati every night.
But the main reason I say that is because I think I like this movie maybe a tad bit more, just because I think we get the kind of personality of Buñuel himself through these two leads, especially. Like honestly, through both of them, just like that kind of jokes. There's like a lot of small moments where they're just like making fun of things like that. I just love that.
Toleragos.
Wait, what?
Their nicknames for each other.
Oh yeah,
it's Toleragos.
Yeah, and he gets mad about that.
He gets mad. It's like I got tolerant.
The way they just break down and stuff at various times, I just love it. But no, that's why this is honestly literally one of my favorite movies ever. But
I think I probably prefer this a little bit more.
I'm just saying that. I'm gonna say that for every Buñuel movie now.
They're the same tier, honestly. I'd have to watch both of them again to determine.
I think the reason I give this one just a little bit more is because of that. What I'm saying, I think we get like I'm saying with Tati, we get the personality of Hilo through, or I feel like we get the personality of Tati a little bit through Hilo. It's like through these kind of central protagonists, we get a little more Buñuel versus.
Well, I think I prefer this a bit more than Mexican Bus Ride because I find the city a bit more like interesting, I guess. Like,
yeah, that's it.
I find the city aspect really appealing to me. Which not to say that like it's like bad or it's just I don't know. It's just
you
more,
just like Playtime One Uncle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe, I don't know.
Or Traffic, maybe.
No, Traffic's perfect.
I mean, it's perfect.
It's like don't you have it low though? You have really
5 stars.
No. Okay.
No, I mean, I think the notion of a perfect movie is like people are way too precious about the perfect label.
I agree.
It's like so
Buñuel
stupid.
made like 13 perfect movies.
Like 5 out of 6 movies Tati made are perfect. Like let's be real.
All of size basically are perfect. So.
He's gonna say do a little more. It's gonna piss me off. So let's
Wayward
Cloud.
Wayward Cloud I can agree with. That's the only one I was.
Damn, you just
left. So
So not everyone. So
I said almost. 10 out of 11 is pretty good. So
yeah, that's a good battle.
No, but that's. I think it has. Now that I'm thinking about it, like this is just kind of on the spot. I think it has to do with the kind of protagonist. Even though I was saying that's what I like about Mexican Best Ride is the kind of like spread out protagonist. Like I like both. Like you're saying, there's no one perfect movie. But yeah, Lucian travels by streetcar. He does, and kind of this will kind of lead us into the movie itself. But he mentions basically one of the features. Or actually, before I start, another thing this author says, which I think is kind of funny, is like during the introduction of the book, he mentions how Mexican Bus Ride is like one of the major films of this Mexican period, and he mentions Lucian travels by streetcar is just like one of the minor films.
Damn.
But then, like as he talks about them, he talks about them both like kind of equally when he reviews them specifically. So. But I thought that was interesting because I see them both on just like the same level to me. Like they feel very similar. But he's just talking about more in terms of like Mexican Bus Ride felt a little more like experimental, kind of like in that way. Yeah. And he says this one is more based on like the comedies of the time kind of thing, or like kind of subverting those similar tropes and stuff. But I mean, it makes me want to watch some more of those comedies. Yeah. But especially looking for that kind of detail he mentions about. Most of the comedies at that period were still making fun, like the comedy comes at expense of the individual workers a lot of times, even if they were made for the workers, trying to represent them in a way. But, and I think you could probably see that trend in some movies today too, where like they're supposed to be about the poor, about the weak, but really the movie's just about like showing their own struggles and stuff. But he mentions that kind of to start the movie. He kind of mentions the casual observational mood of the narrator, and we get that at both of these movies. I forgot to mention on the last one, but I think it's a little more like enhanced in this one.
And also the narrator's like only at the beginning
and end.
Which is interesting
because it's he's literally just like a third person narrator. He's kind of like opening a story. Like that's I'll read.
Was that did Buñuel specifically want that, or was that a studio thing?
To me, this is Buñuel.
Is it Buñuel? Okay.
I don't know. I think
I don't
it's
know
been
why
well
the
because
studio would want that.
Yeah, I don't know
and not
why.
have a narrator in it.
because it almost like detaches you from the story. You know, it
guess,
makes
yeah.
you not identify with the characters. Because like, let me read this. Cause to me, the reason I say that is because I'm gonna read in full both the beginning and then when we get to the end too. Because like, to me, these are both like Buñuel is like most poetic too. Like if he would have become a poet, he would have written like this in a way. So let me read this one. This is how he starts the movie. Quote. Mexico City, one of the great cities of the world, is the setting of the most varied and puzzling events that are the pulse of its daily life. In spite of its transcendence, millions of men and women write, hour after hour, their brief and simple stories. Their actions and words always tend toward the realization of a dream, of a wish, of a fantasy. Together they give shape to the huge swarm that is city life. We will randomly focus on a corner of our great city. Thus the film is but another anecdote, simple and almost trivial, of life in the working poverty-stricken classes of the common people. It's like that idea of just choosing a random story, you know, like it's not supposed to be too serious, like, but like he's basically saying like this is how the whole city is built, you know, in stories like this. So like kind of how you're saying, you know, like this is supposed to be like a metaphor for all of the city just through one story.
Well, that's why I like the Dreams Travel by Streetcar title also, like translation
like
title
that,
also, because that's exactly what he's trying to do with it. Like everyone's traveling because of their dream, basically. So your dreams are also traveling with you.
Which
I mean, and to Buñuel, a lot of those dreams could be illusions.
Yeah,
you know, like what's the difference, right?
I mean, this is already one of the best film titles I've ever seen. Before I even seen the movie.
I mean, this movie had me hooked for the title.
Yeah, I was like, bro,
but like, where do you think this is ranked on like his like Letterboxd? Like how popular it is? Like how many people do you think have watched it?
I saw it's rated because I literally was just like looking at the filmography because it's right below Mexican Bus Ride. It's like 4 or 5 rows down, probably.
Okay,
like maybe 6.
Little over 2,000, 2.2K on Letterboxd and locked up.
Damn. It says Miss Lonely.
Yeah, it's
wait,
pretty
what
low.
does Miss Lonely have?
It's kind of crazy.
2.6.
What the fuck?
That's insane.
Jesus Christ! What are we doing?
No, it's kind of crazy how like these are.
I can't say anything though because I'd seen 8 and I hadn't seen these ones before either. I hadn't seen any of his Mexican ones besides Gran Torino.
All right, you guys are both part of the problem.
Something.
I like French.
Of course, you only saw the classics.
I
only watch his American movies. That's what you guys basically.
His American movies are great.
No, I mean I'm not saying. Buñuel's French movies are great.
Two Masterpieces is probably the best movie.
No, I'm kidding.
Actually, no, Angel's probably the best movie. But like,
and Design for Living.
And Design for Living.
Two Masterpieces.
Not as best.
Okay, but anyway, back to the movie. I love basically the casual observational mood of the narrator, kind of just like, in a way detaches you before you kind of get into the story itself. But yeah, we start with the movie just starts off. You know, like I love like the idea of it's one kind of simple story. It literally is that. You know, it starts right from the beginning of the story, ends right like when the story really ends. You know, no after epilogue or anything like not even the idea of like, oh, what happens tomorrow to them or anything.
It's not like them going through their routine or something. It's just like, oh yeah, this car is getting to meet the and their workers.
Yeah. Like a story that could like,
and
like the way it's filmed too, the way it almost feels a little Vertov-esque, like how he's commenting about the city overall. And then we're getting these like wide shots with the different cuts of the city kind of bustling, you know. Okay. And then it just all of a sudden moves into this one random story, you know.
Honestly, no, you guys haven't seen this movie, the Jules Dassin movie, The Naked City. Mm-mm. It's like literally like the exact same thing where it's like it's literally an open narration that's like there's like a million people living in New York, but there's just one story. And it's basically about this manhunt for this guy. Okay, it's really interesting.
So I love that because it sounds very similar. But then the Buñuel difference is like the story actually isn't that dramatic, really. Like
I guess I mean
because the story is not dramatic. Like it's almost the idea of this. The car still gets decommissioned. You know, so like it almost feels random the fact that he's telling the story because it's like if the story was never told, the story. It's not like they stopped the car getting decommissioned and everything was fine after. You know, it's like it still happened. So it's like
it's still even though it's a simple story, you can still read into it a lot if you want to. Honestly,
that's why he made the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Well, because it's like they're decommissioning this car for really no good reason that you find out at the end of the day, because
Yes.
it's really the only reason is there's a newer model.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
even
that's
though
how the
they
movie
fixed
starts.
it, even though they
That's how
fixed
the movie,
it, like,
right? The movie starts with kind of a Buñuel happy moment.
Yeah.
Where, like the workers are like, "Hey, look, we fixed the car." Like,
it took us way less time
way
than we
less
thought.
time than they thought. Yeah,
Being too efficient. That's actually a quote in the movie, like a great quote. Like being too efficient is a bad thing sometimes, or something.
yeah.
Like that.
Well, it's funny how we get there. So that's how the movie starts. The main characters kind of fix the streetcar. And just this process, because we get this a couple times, of how many bosses they have to get through to get to the top guy. So first they go to this first guy, and they tell him, and he's like, okay, let me go tell this other guy there. And so there's a second guy there he has to tell. And then both of them are like, okay, let's go tell the big boss upstairs. And you think they're going to be all happy about it.
Yeah.
Because both of them are happy. But they're like, oh, first of all, he yells at them. He's like, how do you let these guys do this and not you? But then he's like...
You're saying these two simple mechanics are better than our engineers?
yeah. But then he learns, but the boss is like, it doesn't matter because we already have a new one coming, which is, I think you're saying is, you kind of mentioned this already, but like, you can read a lot into that.
You can.
Just that idea of, and I see, you can see this everywhere if you really look, especially like once you have a job and stuff. It's like, every time a company wants to do something new, like install a new system or something, most of the time, like they don't have to. It's just like some corporate person that has nothing to do with the actual job, like that's how they got a promotion, you know, but like, if you think about it, like they don't like the idea of something new in this situation. They actually don't need it, you know. Like the whole thing is fine, you know. But like, it just because that's what progress is in a way, like, or that's how a company is moving forward or whatever, you know. Just they make changes because it's new, you know, not because it's actually useful or anything. Yeah. But like, this is just one example of that.
And it honestly gives like the streetcar more personality in general.
It does,
because
honestly.
like the streetcar, you can like make a parallel to the workers that are there riding it. Like,
well, that's another thing with Unstoppable. The more you watch Unstoppable, is like you start to relate with like the train almost in a way like that, in the same way.
That's true.
No, because the train definitely has personalities.
Oh, the train definitely has personality.
That's what I'm saying, especially when it's running away. It's almost like running away with the like from the kids. It's like running away with them. But no, damn, that's funny. But yeah, they find out they're all sad. But then what's the first thing they do? They're like, all right, let's go drink.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because now that I've seen it a few times. The fact, like, he never teases that they're going to be in a play.
No.
So the fact that they're like,
it was
like,
shocking.
we're going to go to drink before this play. Yeah. They're doing all this shit, like, they're not prepared at all. Like, you know.
Which this play is hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, we're almost there. But,
like, just the way the devil's dressed.
But do you remember what the bar's name is?
No.
It says, well, the translation we get is, so what? Question mark. Because it's them walking out and like or I think it starts with them. It says so what, then it comes out of them getting kicked out of the bar because he's yelling or something. So that's what makes it even funnier. The fact that they get kicked out of a bar before this play too. They're like, all right, let's go to the play now. But I actually don't even know what the celebration is for. I wasn't paying attention. I probably should know, but
yeah, you see it like 4 times.
I don't know, maybe Easter or something.
I think it is. Or,
I don't know, some religious event.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
But anyway, yeah, that's how we basically get to this. Well, we're getting introduced to some of these other characters too. We get just introduced to Lilia Prado for the first time. She's like talking to the. This is another example of this kind of these certain objects being used to like signify social commentary. Is the idea of the streetcar being the old model of transportation, versus the car. The one that's coming in, and it's like, so right off the bat, she's talking to the driver of the car, the guy that has that car, the new car, who's like trying to hit on her and stuff. Because like one of the first things she says to him is there a Ford in your future? Which is like so funny. Like I think they're talking about getting married or something. He's like, is there a Ford in your future? It's like it's a very practical question, you know.
Awesome. Get straight to the point.
Yeah. But yeah, that was how you found a good man in the 50s, you know.
Yeah.
Or if they're just going to keep taking the streetcar, you know.
Yeah. Why have dating apps? You know?
Yeah. Just get a Ford.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if Buñuel got paid for that.
Damn.
That was the first time.
I couldn't blame him.
If there was like a cut to a Ford, like if it was a Michael Bay movie, there'd been like cut to a Ford.
Oh yeah. Oh no, the Ford logo would have been like fully in screen the entire time. So.
No, but then just like so random how we find out they're in this play too.
Oh yeah.
Because the guy's like freaking out. He's like, well, he's our Jesus too. I think. No, not Jesus.
He's God.
God. Yeah. But yeah, they're all like central characters. But But yeah, the play starts. I mean, what's your favorite part? Is it just the Adam and Eve stuff?
I just love the devil. I don't know. Everything he does.
When he's like drinking too.
Yeah, it's like so funny. Like, just his costume is just so ridiculous.
Honestly, it's kind of sweet watching like what's the Wes Anderson movie when you see when he's like a kid and he's like putting on a play and stuff.
Some Moonrise King?
No, the first movie. It's like one of his earlier movies.
Oh, Rushmore?
Yeah, Rushmore. You know, like the end,
yes.
where it feels kind of magical. Just watch it, even though that one's way more dramatic.
The fucking like insane play.
The Apocalypse Now,
has way better
way
better stage production than anything ever has.
Like maybe that's an extreme example, but like there are certain moments in movies where you like watch like a theatrical performance like as an audience member.
Yeah.
I just like love moments like that in movies.
Opening night.
Opening night.
Opening night, yeah.
Damn.
But he goes back. Yeah, he goes back to like Monty Call has one.
I mean Renoir in The Golden Coach.
Apparently, his last movie is like that, right? It's called like it's something like that, like The Little Life of the Theaters. I don't know.
I don't actually know.
But anyway, yeah, you see what I'm saying though. This because even though this one is like still like it's like the most Buñuel way possible, you know, it's like undercutting the magical, like if Rushmore is like trying to oversell it, like make it cinematic, dramatic, everything, like. This is like the exact opposite.
This one's just a shitty play.
Yeah, exactly. But it still feels like, to me, it just feels still like magical just because.
The Little Theater in Renoir.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
I've never seen this before.
Exactly, that's literally what I was talking about. Yeah. But yeah, because there's like even like a fake bird you see like flying, like they're like someone's holding it.
Oh,
but basically, we're seeing like we're seeing Satan get banished first, like Lucifer, and then Lucifer coming to tempt Eve, Adam and Eve, and honestly, this is just one you have to watch. Kind of like it's hard to describe.
I was like, oh, how classic! Then blaming the woman again.
Yeah. Of course, you know Dany admitting he loves theater. You know, big theater head.
I mean, if it's been well, yeah. He did direct some plays too.
Oh, did he actually?
Yeah.
Oh. Damn, theatrical director.
No. There's a theatrical moment like in or a theater moment in Discreet Charm where they're like eating at the dinner table and all of a sudden they're like the curtains open.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah, and the guy underneath like he's like trying to tell them lies. Yeah. Damn, I can't really remember that. Like,
it's a good moment. It's like a sudden moment. No, but to keep going, but there's like there's like a funny moment where the crowd laughs where like Satan and Eve like go hide behind a rock and like the rock starts shaking too. Like
it's like damn.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, but basically the play stops at the intermission. I think after I think the play ends with God kicking both of them out.
Yeah,
if I'm right. But then that's when the intermission starts in the play and they stop. So. I don't know if they're supposed to be in the rest of this play or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they're just like, it's like during this intermission, the tall guy's like, let's go to the streetcar. This is where he gets the idea of going to the streetcar and stuff for one last time. Because he's like, they're like sad about it and stuff.
Like, I think they are supposed to be in the play because later on, I think the director goes like, "Where's our Jesus? Where's our God and our devil?"
Yes, yeah. Or no, he even says something like, "This is why you don't get anyone to play Jesus" or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is true. Yeah, basically the fact like they just are in this play and we like it's never teased.
Yeah,
they leave this play like it just kind of like
nothing is said about it.
No,
yeah, it just happens.
But then they go. This is like one of my favorite moments in the movie too, where they're going like just getting drunk in the streetcar one last time.
Yeah. Or I love the line where it's like we're smaller than dust.
Well, I was gonna. This is like the line because this is kind of like I mentioned that like phrase heavy contrast in Buñuel.
Yeah.
I think it's like one of my favorite examples because it's like I think it's the tall guy that's. Which one says we're smaller than dust?
The smaller guy.
Okay, so it's the tall one who's going, if you knew this pain that's destroying my soul. And he's like, our future, don't you understand? And the other guy's like, we're smaller than dust.
Damn.
But just like both of those things are true at the same time for Buñuel, always. They're like getting drunk and stuff. This is where they start fighting about the nicknames and everything. Damn, what happens after? But yeah, they hug like... I'm trying to think what happens.
Don't they just go get in the streetcar then?
I'm pretty sure.
This is when I think this is like during the. I think it's during the scene where they decide to like go on one last ride. I'm trying to exactly remember how they decided to go on the ride because I'm not sure if it's just random and it's actually in the exact moment here. But...
Don't they see it or am I misremembering?
Like the streetcar?
Yeah.
What?
Don't they just see it out in the open, or
no? They actually go and like drink inside of it and
Oh.
stuff. But I'm forgetting how they decide to be like, let's just go for one last ride.
I remember them seeing it and be like them getting the idea from that,
But they've already been in here. They've been in it at this point.
Okay.
Because they like drink it inside of it and stuff. But
I think it's just spur of the moment.
I think it's a spur of the moment because it's one of my favorite quotes too. It kind of goes to like the quote where I said why Buñuel just decided to stay in Mexico to make movies. Right. Where the guy says, "I'm already in a rut. I might as well do something." That's what the short guy says when the tall guy suggests like just going for one last ride. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure I'm trying to think if like there's something that spurs him to actually go for it. But there's not. But yeah, they go on one last ride. And this is like where it's like I said, there's kind of like these just non-narrative moments of the of mentioning like the economic impacts, that are happening right now. Because like it's almost like there's really no reason for it. It cuts back to like the celebration ending, and these two guys are talking about inflation, and he says, so that's inflation for you. It causes poverty among common people, while industrialists and businessmen keep getting richer and fancier. Yeah. It's like damn, just like. Yeah, almost Buñuel just being really direct about like what he says, what he believes in a way, but then they go. I don't know who they're picking up for this first stop, but they decided they pick up these like people celebrating something.
Yeah, I don't think they were planning on picking anyone up. I think it just happened
I'm pretty sure all of this happened like that.
Yeah, well, because I think they just pull in and then like people get on because they're expecting their streetcar to come.
Well, that's how streetcar works. Yeah, right? It can only go on certain stops. Yeah. That's why the company man's so like confident. Like, who's going to steal a streetcar? It makes no sense, right? Like, like what's the point of that? Cause
we know exactly where they're going.
Yeah. That's what makes this guy, the guy we're going to meet, a little bit so funny too.
Pandilo?
Like,
or something.
I forgot his name. To me, he's just like I just have old guy in my notes, but like, he's just like the classic like try hard. Like, like he as a kid, he was definitely the kid like asking the teacher to remember the homework and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No, but I love these kind of. This is like it's very similar to Mexican Bus Ride, but these like kind of moments of when they pick up certain people is just a way to get like little commentary on like the groups of people they're picking up. But this one is like one of my favorite. Like, there's he plays music too while like the tall guy starts dancing. I think the tall guy is normally the driver, which makes this moment even better.
Yeah.
Because we see the tall guy is the one like dancing with one of the old ladies, and we see the short guy like. He's usually not the driver, but he's the one like he's like
looks
super.
He looks
stressed, but he's like he's like really focused. But,
he's like locked in, bro.
No, it's a kind of a good moment. But then like they stop at the slaughterhouse, and this is like where I was saying like kind of reminded me of like the animal scene in the last one, where all these people from the slaughterhouse are like getting in and super excited
with their like meat with them too.
Yes,
like,
yes,
and like hang it up and stuff. Yeah. Like that's pretty good.
No. Because first we see this slaughterhouse come, and then immediately after we see the Duke of Ordonto, whatever that means, come in. But basically,
he's drunk as hell too.
He's drunk. Really he has this like tall ass hat that like gets knocked down by one of the animals at one point. Like, it also has one of my favorite quotes from one of the ladies. She's like shocked. A lot of them are shocked that they don't have to pay.
Yes,
which is like just a like I was saying earlier. It's kind of like it's a sweet moment about what they're doing, but also it's kind of like cruel when you think about like these are the people that have to pay for their transportation, but like. Like I just can't help but think about like today, like Taylor Swift, like literally like flies for like billions of dollars every year and stuff. But
and
it goes, people actually have to pay for public transportation.
Mainly the main worry there, I feel like.
Okay, both.
She doesn't have to either. She could solve anything she wanted with that money, but
exactly.
No, I think the quote in this one though is like basically just like they're giving away free rides in this economy or something like essentially.
No, exactly, yeah. Because one of them says. Divine Providence sent a streetcar instead of a gondola because it's implied that usually they have to take a gondola to go home, which is outdoors, and slower. So like her mentioning even that quote is like we see like 3 different levels of transportation,
and of class.
At the same time, like the levels of transportation are literally the levels of class, right? Yes. In a way, like the cars, like obviously the rich people, and then like streetcars, like middle class, low class, and then like the gondolas are like for the people that work at these factories and slaughterhouses and stuff. No, but that's why it's so funny. Like when there's like a shot of like the Duke is sleeping and his hat gets knocked off by like one of the swinging dead animals too. Just this idea of like even if these separate castes exist, like once they're on the transportation itself, they're all on the same same level, and like to me, like Buñuel sees like the road and like the mode of transportation almost like as life itself, right? So like, so he's almost saying like, you know, once life actually starts, they're all on the same level, you know, in reality, in a way. But no, like one of them says.
I mean, do you think he's saying that's an illusion too? Like, because I guess the illusion travels by streetcar. Like, he's saying that specifically is an illusion. Do you think? Like,
I don't know. I think he's saying more like the illusion is like what drives the people on the streetcars. Okay. You know, like their illusions in a way.
Yeah.
But this one feels a little like an illusion.
But maybe you can say that too. Yeah, I think so.
This one feels a little bit like it because the old guy is drunk. It's the classic like he maybe has to be drunk to be with these people.
I mean, city lights.
So,
No, but then we get like the one of the ladies says the fact that it's free seems pretty fishy nowadays. Nobody gives anything for free. It's like they made that truth, you know. No, but then there's also like a moment too where like we see like one of the ladies has had a miscarriage, and that's why she's like holding this like icon. She's like really holding this icon and stuff, and like this old fat guy in the back starts making fun of her, and then like two ladies like kind of stand up for her, and they're like, it doesn't matter if it's their conscience, it's not yours, like let them do what they want, kind of thing.
Yes.
And like I kind of just wanted to point that moment out because we're gonna talk about Buñuel and religion next week, but like I just love the idea, like in a way that fat guy is like Buñuel's position.
Yeah.
That like kind of like making fun of icons, like why would you even like give money for that in the first place, you know? But like the fact that he puts in his position and like the fat guy who you don't like, and like the ones that are actually standing up for the woman, or like, you know, standing up for religion in a way, is also a very Buñuel thing, you know. Like we'll talk about it more next week, but he's very interesting when it comes to religion because he calls himself an atheist and everything, and he's also very anti-religious, but he's also one of the most religious directors ever. Like that's why. But yeah, that's why I want to point out that scene. But we keep going. I think they get off, and we see them. Oh yeah, they decide to go hide in like a warehouse or something. And they go and sleep overnight in it. And then there's a. It's hard for me to talk like narratively what goes on because a lot of it's just like they go and stop and start. But I'll point out the next. There's like a great kind of like random moment where like it looks like for a split second the streetcar is going to hit the middle of a sign before it stops like at a two-way point.
Okay, yeah. Like, no, this is when they're like they want to go in, but it's getting blocked, and then another one comes behind them, and they're like, oh, like fuck, we gotta go forward.
It's just like little.
And then right after that is when they get like. They accidentally pick up all the kids.
That's the scene we're at right now. Yeah,
they're so funny.
Well, because like
that's just
because I think the guy turns it on to special. Like he turns their thing on to special. He's like, they're no one's gonna get on it or something like that.
This is like that's a classic comedy moment. I feel like where like he's like, yeah, okay, their plan is like, okay, we change the special, no one will get on.
Yeah,
and then the teacher's like, hey, do you see anything that says special? Like it literally cuts right after that. And the kid's like, oh yeah, that's ours. It's special. She's like, all right, that's ours. Get on. And this is where it feels like I don't want to say propaganda, but like he's trying to make it for a Mexican audience in a way, like to get it past like the censors and stuff. There has to be like some reason because like it's almost like random where she says always by streetcar because it's safe. It's always safe to travel. Like it feels like so random, you know?
Yeah.
No, but this is where we heard the song during the break where the kids start singing. We think we're getting like a sweet, and it is a sweet moment, honestly.
I just love how like after they all stumble in, the teacher he just turns them like, oh fuck, I guess we have to take them. It's like jam, they just like have to do it.
But like
they can't.
First
say
of all,
no.
like it's kind of brief. It's flown by, but the fact that she says really briefly like they're already 15 minutes late for when they're supposed to get picked up.
Yeah.
So. And the streetcar picking them up is not even supposed to be picking them up. So who knows when they're going to get picked? Just another kind of way of like these institutions failing the people in a way. No, but it's like this great moment of them singing. There's like close-ups of the kids singing in close-up. But then one of them's like, all right, let's go. It cuts to them. They're like, all right, we got to find a way to ditch these kids. But then this is like the random moment where. This is what I was saying, like, these are, like, the kind of these non-narrative moments to, like, just emphasize the economic impacts. It just cuts almost randomly to... Well, it's not randomly, because it's Lilia Prado's trying to figure out what's going on with the streetcar and stuff. So it cuts to her, but really it cuts to her to show, like, the bread. the kind of bread owner being a capitalist, basically being a greedy capitalist or whatever. But because he says something like, "It's a free market, ain't it?" Like, well, that's a translation, man. But yeah, then after that, she says like she's gonna go and search for them, and it cuts back to them on the streetcar. And to me, this is a very subtle joke. But like after I've watched this a few times, like I only really noticed it this time. But do you remember this joke with the orphan? What she says here, like what happens in the scene, like before they actually get off the kids. Like, do you remember the orphan in the scene? Right, his name is like Lorenzano. Oh wait, okay. They're like they cut back to the kids on the bus, and they're making fun of one kid for being an orphan. So like a classic thing already. So they're making fun of this, and you actually don't know why. Like, why did people put this like random moment of this orphan getting made fun of? But then it cuts to the teacher. She starts telling about how a student drowned in the water, and she was saying about all the parents were really panicked. But then it turned out to be I forget what she says. She says, "Thank goodness it wasn't any of the parents' children. It was Lorenzo." So all the parents were like happy, you know. Like, oh my god. So he sets up the orphan joke just like make the orphan a positive thing in the joke later. It's just like amazing. But also kind of cruel too. Oh my god. Really? But that's where it breaks. This is what I was saying. This is a kind of the Fellini moment I was talking about. The streetcar kind of breaks down right after this. This is actually where they have to start because it breaks down like while there's like a commercial being filmed. I think it's either a film or a commercial. I don't think it necessarily says. Yeah. But this is where the orphan walks up to the window and she's like has her leg out, like just like showing like obviously kind of like fetishizing a little bit. He's just like staring at it, and that kind of like feels like a intervista moment. Okay, yeah. Like when they stop a few times to like watch like stuff like almost movie moments in a way. But also just way less like they still feel more realistic in a way. Oh yeah, like Fellini's like off the chart. But it's still very similar because even when they get off to go, all the kids are like excited to go watch the thing, and they even show a close up of him just like staring up at her, just like in awe, of, like looking at this actress kind of. But that's when they decide that the teacher's like, okay, we'll do it for like we'll just stop for 15 minutes or something. And then that's when they like ditch them. That's the shot that I'm talking about, where it like looks like they're just like speeding full ahead away from it.
I'll be unstoppable, right?
No, yeah. No. But this is where we might get. I haven't seen all of Buñuel's movies yet, so I can't say for sure. But this might be his biggest stunt. Where like we get because Lilia Prado's gotten the guy with the car to help her find the streetcar. So like they're driving side by side. Yes. While she's like her body's out, like kind of like trying to talk to them and stuff. Really unstoppable. Yeah. No, and then she gets on the streetcar with them, I think. Yeah, she does. And then
isn't that what the poster's depicting? Kind of. Wait, hold on.
Is it?
It's like her hanging off of it. Or I guess maybe it might be.
That might be one of those. There's like a few different images.
Actually, yeah, no, this is Pride. You kind of see where I was like, okay,
yeah.
kind of, but yeah.
No, okay, no. But yeah. I say I like that poster though.
That's a great poster.
No, but I love but it's still very efficient at the end of the day. It's like, it's kind of like L'Argent's action scene. Action scene where like, even though it's like it's just one shot from behind, the wide shot, and then we hear the sound of the crash. Yeah. Then it cuts from behind, from their perspective of the guy just like getting out all annoyed from the crash. And then it cuts back to the tall guy smiling. Like,
well, they start fighting too, the two guys.
Oh yeah. So funny, like, he starts trying to blame the other guy.
You can see him like start to scrap. Like,
But honestly, that just goes to the idea of like just these random stories are happening all over the city, you know. No, but that's like this is where they're basically getting away, and then they see this. This is where we meet the old guy for the first time. I guess he's like an old inspector or something. I guess he used
to work for the company.
He used to work for the company. I think. Oh yeah, they say he's an inspector because it's just a really funny brief moment where they see the inspector and he's like, "Hey, look, it's the inspector," and the other guy's like, "Just run him over." No, but the guy gets on and. Basically, they use Lilia Prado basically to kind of like distract him, I think. but then as he's also on, they have to make a stop. This one they actually have to start making like the normal stops to like not be suspicious and stuff. Because this is when like the more it's implied that these are more richer people getting on now. Because this is like one of the funniest scenes in the movie too. Like this is a classic like bootlicker scene. Like because like they're telling people like we can't like they basically don't want to accept money because they don't want to get in trouble. You know.
Well, it'd be
like,
stealing.
Yeah. Wait, what?
It'd be stealing because they're not actually they're not with the company at this time.
No, exactly. So. So it would be stealing. But then like, but these
color.
people like can't accept a free ride, especially this American lady, where she's like, the way she says it too, she's like, it smells like communism to me. But
no,
then,
I think like one of the rich guys goes like, "Do I look like I need a free ride or something like that?" And I'm just like, "Damn."
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like these guys are too prideful.
The differences between like the people, basically.
Yeah.
You could even say like some of it's like the difference between the daytime society and nighttime society too.
Honestly, yeah.
Because one of them was happening.
Damn, I didn't even think. Yeah. Like the different the aspects of day and night in this movie. You could probably Damn. Yeah, because the slaughterhouse, they're getting out like late at night. It's implied, like after that celebration and everything. So damn. But yeah, and there's another scene where like there's like the two kind of I don't know what class they are, but like they're implied richer because they're like saying one guy says they say that labor will rule one day. And then the other guy says, "Well, you can kill me," and he's like, "Well, don't worry, it won't be in your time." It's like, damn, it's kind of sad, but it's still true though.
He's right.
But I think I forgot if they drop them. I think they dropped those people off. No, okay. I think they dropped the rest of the people off, and then this old guy is still on is on the streetcar with them, and like to me, this is like a guy that just basically misses his old job because of like he's like okay, he can tell like the short guy like doesn't know what he's doing because he's like okay, let me drive. Yeah, he like takes over. It's kind of just like one of those moments, like I don't know. I feel like you can see that all over the place of like just old people, like kind of, or like why do people work past than they have to a lot of the times? It's like because they like it, you know.
Yeah.
Like you can tell
reason to live.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly. Especially for this guy, you know. Yeah. Like he's literally the only guy trying to do the right thing is like the idiot in the movie, like the right thing for the company anyway.
Yeah.
No, but like because this is where they stop and he's trying to make the call. He's like looking through papers or something. And he realizes like the papers they have don't match the car or whatever. So he's like, okay, I have to make a call. You know, he has to do his duty. But then they stop, and that's literally why he's making the call. They also run away from him.
It's hilarious.
But then they have to make a stop at the next place, and more people start to get on. Actually, I think these are the same people that are still on, so they never got off as this guy. Yeah, it's the same people. Because this is where they're like, okay, we have to tell these people that the streetcar is broken down because we can't keep taking them.
Yeah. And
it has one of my favorite lines in the movie because one of the people was like, who's going to replace our downtime? Which is like, oh my god, it's like the most relatable feeling ever. Like, honestly. If there's like a traffic jam or something after work and you're just like, are you going to pay me for this? Like, no, but...
I lost an hour sitting in this fucking
traffic. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Or like even having to get to work in traffic and shit. But we get so they actually then that's they have to lie again to get the people off. But Lilia Prado comes and tells them that the only person that's really worried is the watchman. Like the company doesn't know about it at all, which is it kind of like it's just like in a normal movie you would probably emphasize that tension.
Yeah.
And he like does the opposite. It's like, oh, okay, it's not that. You don't have to.
It's like they were at the beginning, like they were gonna go to jail or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
like as the movie takes place, even if they're still a little worried, you can kind of tell. Like I don't know, it feels like they're not gonna get in trouble.
No one else is worried.
Yeah. But they go and park it again. It's like implied they go to like an abandoned place. This is like a funny moment where they're like they think it's an abandoned place, but it's already like there's like crime going on. Because the leader of the gang, he comes and says, "Hey, this is strange for this to be here. This tracks isn't used." And he's like, "Oh, we're just waiting." And then he's like, "Waiting for what?" And he's like, "Actually, no, never mind. We're just taking a break." We get tired at times. He's like basically like making up his story on the spot, you know. but it's like they say they initially say it's fertilizer to like lie, but then when it's revealed it's corn. Like I don't know why that would be illegal though. That's what I'm like confused about.
I don't know
if that's illegal or like they're hiding it for some reason.
They're smuggling corn or something.
Yeah, that's why I'm like.
Well, I mean, it's definitely. I don't know if it's illegal, but maybe it's just like they don't want the poor people to know because they're hoarding it or something.
Maybe, but it's like it kind of the way it's filmed. Like they're like a criminal gang, you know, because they even threatened to go beat up this guy, the short one.
Which I mean, it would make sense if there are people hungry that this would be a type of thing that some type of criminals would do, taking food and selling it for higher prices.
Yeah, maybe something like that's going on, like the black market or something.
Because all the people do they take the
that's how he gets saved. Is like the people come and start like realizing it's corn and start trying to take it.
Well, the funny thing is like he's not even like worried because I think it's like Talgaros or whatever is like the one talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not even worried about what you have in those bags." And he's like, "It's corn. You want to see?" And he like grabs one down, and then it just falls and it breaks open, or like I don't know. It's just like it happens by chance.
Yeah.
Like,
no, exactly. No, and the way they get saved is also exactly. But yeah, that's how they escape. They keep going. Of course, they run into the same guy again. He must like have the routes memorized or something. I don't know. Like maybe that's implied. I don't know how actually he finds them, but they kind of basically are like willing to give up at this point. And this is like another funny moment where you could see this as a miracle or chance, but also a negative. Like depending on whose view you're looking at, because this guy has a heart attack.
Yeah.
But the heart attack is obviously like a huge like benefit for them because like it helps them get away from this guy. So like a heart attack being a good thing is like such a Buñuel thing.
Well, it's funny the way it happens.
Yeah, the way it happens too. Like, wait, why? Like it's
just the circumstance.
Yeah, the circumstance. Yeah,
circumstantial humor.
Because it's like this kind of side scene too. Like I'm not exactly sure if he's trying to make a joke here, but like this guy, he's like fainted at the drugstore, this like drug counter. And they're all like, there's like a cop there. There's like this other rich guy there, and they're all just like talking. But like as they're all just like ignoring him, the guy just walks up and walks away like under his own power. And like he hangs on the cop and the rich guy, like this guy in a cowboy hat for like a few seconds after. And they're like, oh, there's nothing we can do about it now. And they're like, but this like idea like the cop just like is lazy too. Like he's like doesn't even know what's going on about this. Just like another example of authority. Like kind of has no idea what's going on. Yeah. But yeah, to keep going in the movie, they're still I think they're still driving. Yeah, no, okay. We actually go. The movie actually cuts to the old guy after he's walked away. He goes to the office.
Yes.
And this is kind of like his final push to like to show. I mean, I guess this is kind of how the movie wraps up too.
It is kind of how it wraps up.
This is how we find out they get back in time. Is we first see the old man at the office basically trying to convince him the streetcar's been stolen and everything.
It's just really funny also because like I think the secretary goes in to say like he's still out there and then he's like, oh, leave him out there.
Yeah. They're like trying to ignore him as much as possible.
And then like whenever he finally sees him, he like the old guy's like really pushy about it and he's like, can I wait till tomorrow? And he's like, no, it has to be now.
It has to be now. And he's like, because I just like, to me, I think as I think about it, why I kind of find him endearing is like his passion at least is like, you see that's what's missing from the company, like maybe in a way, is like this company is like just all about progress and efficiency.
Yeah.
Even being efficient into being inefficient in a way, but like he's like endearing just about how passionate it is, you know, even if he's kind of stupid. But it's like, of course, he's like the old value, like there's no place for him because he's like, you know, even telling them the truth and they still can't believe it. Yeah. But then like they go down, they see the streetcar there, and I guess the only guy they have to get to life from them is the watchman. But I don't know how they get the watchman alive for him.
I don't know. It's just a hilarious reveal though, because they're literally walking down there, and there's actually was 113, right?
133
or 133. Okay, because isn't the one that so then that's the reason why, right? Well, because then the old guy mistakes the number, because the old guy says it's 113.
He does?
I think so, at least in my translation, because that's what I was thinking too. I was like, I thought the train this entire time was 133, But at least the subtitles that I had 113.
They
like he was
might have
saying 113. They might have messed it up for sure.
I think it's 133 because it's implied they still get the streetcar there on time.
No, because it's definitely implied that because it's hilarious like what happens because like they're just walking over there and then they see it and they're like, has that car ever been off the tracks? And they're like, nope, never.
That's all good. Then the big boss says to him, a streetcar cannot be stolen. They travel on rails belonging to the company. Stealing means taken away. But I love that because it's like, in a way, they kind of did get away with stealing in a way, at least for a day, you know? Yeah. Like, it's almost like, the way I see that ending is like, that's how Buñuel sees winning in a way. It's like, you can't win all of it, but like, you can kind of like win your moments, you know? Like, you know, steal your moments in a way. But, because like they do, it does feel like they get away with something.
No,
even though they don't. But they do, but for a day anyway. But yeah, that's basically how the movie ends. I love how like the old guy is like mad about it, and like the old guy's mad until the boss threatens his pension, and then he's like, "Oh, my pension, okay." But he just like stops talking after that. Yeah. But honestly, that's crazy. It's like companies having pensions, like that's not a thing anymore.
No.
But yeah, that's when it cuts to wide shot. It shows them with no audio walking out of the warehouse, the streetcar warehouse. And then it cuts back to the same narrator we only saw at the beginning. And, quote, this was a story, for some uneventful, ignored by the majority, but memorable to its stars who return to the simple rhythm of their lives as their steps fade into the streets. They have so often walked ever deeper into their still unknown future. Meanwhile, the city continues to spawn and create thousands of different stories. Yeah. It's a losing travel by streetcar. Like, that last line, too, the city continues to spawn and create thousands of different stories. I feel like that's going to apply even for these later movies, but in like a different way.
Yeah, I could see that.
The different stories are more like psychological or like kind of dream-based, desire-based in a way.
I could see that, yeah.
But yeah, that's both movies. What do you guys think?
I loved it.
Which one do you like more? Both of you?
Illusion Travel was probably.
I like both of them the same this first watch, honestly.
Same tier.
I'd have to rewatch both of them to decide which one I like more. I would say I'm leaning Mexican Bus Ride, but...
No, that's fair. I like both about the same, too, so I can't blame you. But, yeah, that's those. And next week we are doing... We're doing Buñuel's 2... Or, I mean, he has more religious movies, but the two I wanted to do is Nazarin and The Milky Way. So... Okay. Yeah, until next week, hope to see you floating through the clouds.